Cardinals fans cheering at Coors Field. The pitch. He struck him out, and the Cardinals with a very impressive 6-2 win in Colorado. Michael McGreevy was awesome, spotted him 2 early runs, Mark, and then slammed the door.
Did a really nice job of mixing everything, kept them off balance, was on the ground a ton. Just another impressive outing, especially to do it here. Ball flies, and you can run up the score pretty quickly. So overall, really, really nice job.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So that's what it looks like when you have a guy that goes out there, pitches well, gives you a chance to win, and ultimately gives you at least 7 innings. I forgot what that looks like, Alex. It had been a while since we had seen a start like that. That audio courtesy of FanDuel Sports Midwest, of course. A really nice start by Michael McGreevy last night on the road in Colorado, a tough place to play. Alex, I think the obvious place to start here is even the players are asking for McGreevy now.
Yeah, we're having a mutiny on our hands inside that clubhouse.
So after the game, if you missed it in the post-game coverage, according to Derek Gould, Katie Wu, John Denton, by the way, going to join us coming up at 11:30. Players, specifically Wilson Contreras, came out afterwards and say, I don't know what more this guy needs to prove. He should be around long term. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That guy needs to stay here with us.
Time to walk the plank, Fetty.
So,
poor Fetty.
Contreras says that, and according to the coverage, I think this was in Derek Gould's story, right next to him, the locker next to him was Pedro Pajes, who says, I agree.
Wasn't even interviewing him. Pajes just speaks up. Hell yeah, brother.
It's like, all right, I think we've arrived. Before the game, Ollie Marmol, pleading with his GM through the media, says, I hope this isn't a spot start.
Meanwhile, Eric Fetty sitting in his clubhouse right now going, oh,
you know what would have been great?
Myself.
What would have been awesome is there was a camera in that locker room. You hear Contreras' comment, pans to the left, pauses, I agree, and then it's just a slow pan, and there's Eric Fetty sitting in his chair.
It's like The Office, too, where it's just
ground.
like Jim's side-eye be like...
And then there's Ollie in the corner going... Yeah, I'm trying to tell him.
I mean, honestly, those guys are reacting that way. My tinfoil is they're pissed off that Fetty started the last game. That going into the All-Star break.
Man, they should.
Yes, that's why they're reacting this way. It's like, look, if
our manager didn't want speculation. I don't think the manager wanted Fetty to start that game.
If the president of baseball operations is going to be so stubborn enough to say, like, no, we're not bringing up McGreevy, Fetty is starting, we're going into the All-Star break, then what's the next step for the team to do? Start pleading to the president of baseball operations. I don't know what else you want to see. Every time the guy starts, he gives us the chance to win. He goes out there, he throws 6 innings for us. What else do you want to see? That's frustration built up from a clubhouse that knows a first-round pick who has done his time in the minors needs to be at the major league level.
So here's my question to you guys. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. YouTube chat is off and running at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. We got Eric, Dr. Xander, DJ Patty Cakes all over there right now. Do you guys think he will stay with the team?
No.
Will we see a release today that says Michael McGreevy has been optioned to AAA?
Yeah, no, I think Mo's going to just do it out of spite. Be like, no, I'm sending him down now, boys. No, I think you're going to see him go down. Because
if he goes down, he cannot be called up for 15 days.
Yeah.
And barring an injury.
Which? Check
so, like, if they trade somebody.
After the trade deadline.
It's the literal next start after.
Yep. That's what's going to happen. Fetty is going to get 2 more starts between now and the deadline. And then post-deadline, McGreevy will be up, and then they'll say, hey, you've got McGreevy.
I think we won't see anything today. Because of how deep McGreevy went into the game last night, I think you will not see them, because he basically saved your pen. Like, it was just Romero and Maton that had to go out there.
Because Fetty's on the mound tonight.
Correct. So you're not, today, like, you're technically short in the pen, but you have enough arms out there to be able to make up for it with Fetty on the mound. If nothing else, hey, McGreevy, enjoy your day off in Denver. Right? Like, let's give you one here. And then I think they try to trade Fetty the next day. And if they can, then McGreevy gets to stay. And if they can't, and they have to wait another start potentially, Alex, then I think you're right. And I think on Wednesday, what day is today? Today is Tuesday. I think on Thursday, you will see McGreevy sent down to the minors.
I think you're going to see it, man. There's nothing that has happened this season with McGreevy that makes me believe, oh, yeah, he's going to be up here now. He earned it this time. What, because Wilson Contreras and Pedro Pajes are speaking up in the clubhouse that he deserves to stay up here? That's not how Mo works. It's going to go down. Fetty's going to keep making the starts. You're going to get the same 5-man rotation. And then post-trade deadline, August 1st, Michael McGreevy, congratulations. You've been promoted. You're now a major leaguer.
Can't be on August 1st, but like August 5th or whatever, yeah.
Sure. After it.
I think he stays. I don't feel confident about that answer, but I think he stays, especially because they keep flirting with this idea of skipping Palante's next start. That makes me wonder if, so he's, or not his next start, but they keep talking about buying him sometime. Yeah, they keep talking about buying Palante sometime.
I feel like I missed this.
It was something that Ollie had said pregame.
Okay.
But like, he's scheduled to start tomorrow, I believe it is. So I think it's probably the next start after that they may look at,
so
and that might be how
on.
they do this with McGreevy, to where he stays up here. They play a little bit short in the pen, and they cross their fingers, cross their toes, and say, "Boy, I hope Fetty's gone by the time we get
like
through this."
100 options they can use in the pan. Like they could call up a Fernandez if they wanted to as well. He's apparently been pitching pretty well down in the minor leagues, so they can make this thing work. If they want to, they can just say, "Hey, McGreevy, congratulations! You're just going to spot start now for some of these guys and buy everybody a day off before we get to the trade deadline." So they could do that. Honestly, I would like to see it. He's earned it. Somebody on the text line said, "BK, you guys owe McGreevy an apology. You said there was no way we were going to win yesterday with him on the mound. You guys owe him an apology." I don't feel like we said that. I think we said we didn't think it was going to go particularly well because he's a pitch-to-contact pitcher, and he's pitching to contact in mile high. Like, I don't know that that's going to be a great recipe for success.
The early portion of the game was like, oh, this might not go very well. And then he settled in, and then things were good the rest of the way.
I'm not going to apologize to the man. Like, he's a grown-ass man. He doesn't need me to apologize. This is part of what comes with the job, is the criticism that comes along with it. However, I will praise him. He deserves credit for what he did yesterday. He pitched really well, man. He's not all that dissimilar from some of the guys that you have on the roster. The difference is 0 walks. 0.
He's got 5 this season.
He was inside of the zone all day long, and it wasn't the heart of the zone, which is what Miles Michaelis does, where, hey, Eugenio Suarez, what's your hot zone? Let's throw it right there repeatedly. McGreevy is on the edges, but in the zone nonetheless. So he's consistently a guy that's going to get you deeper into games. He's going to pitch to contact, but guys are a little off balance when they hit it. So it's not 95-mile-an-hour rockets down the line. You know, it's 87-mile-an-hour grounders. And that's a better recipe for success. So, yeah, I'll give him a lot of credit for the way that he pitched yesterday. Not a great lineup that he went up against, but he succeeded with it, and it's in a tough place to play. Yeah, credit to Michael McGreevy, man. He's earned the right to be up here with this big league club.
The credit and the impressiveness for me was going back out there for that last part of the inning, or the 7th inning.
I totally agree. I loved that.
This in Colorado, where it's a tough place to play, and at that time, you know, the game's somewhat out of hand to where you don't really expect much. But if you're McGreevy, you're coming in there with, what did he have, like 80-something pitches he was stepping into the mound for in the 7th?
It was right around there, 75, 80, something like that.
That was the impressive part for me, because for a guy like that who has just been up and down, to go out there and understand the situation you're in, where your bullpen can't get used too much, and you just go out there and eat one more inning, and he did it pretty efficiently. So that was a part where I was like, okay, McGreevy understands his role when he's up here. You need to give the guy the spot.
Oh, to double down on that, totally agree with you, Alex. It's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad that Ollie sent him out there.
Yeah.
Because that's not a spot necessarily that Eric Fetty or Miles Michaelis are going to get
or
that in.
Gray.
Well, yeah, for different reasons.
It's not that hot in Colorado.
Yeah,
For Fetty or Michaelis,
breathe,
it's a manager decision. For Sonny, it's a Sonny decision that he's not going to.
He wasn't even mentally there last game.
Let's be honest. Ollie threw him out there because he knew Mo was sending him down again. And he's like, might as well use the innings when we've got him.
Maybe.
We're not going to have him for 15 days.
Whatever the explanation, I loved it, man. Go see what this guy's got. You were up, I think it was 6-2 at that point in time in the game. Yeah, it was 6-2. So you're up by a decent margin. You know, hey, if he gets into a lot of trouble here, we can go ahead and go to our pen. But let's find out what the kid's got.
Yeah.
Let's see how he responds to not necessarily high pressure, but semi-leverage spot, 7th inning. You are getting a little fatigued at this point in the game. You're toward the second half of that lineup at this point. It's not a great lineup. They did have at least one lefty that came up against him in that inning. I loved that they pushed him there. I'm glad to see them do something like that, and that's the kind of stuff that I wonder if you'll see more of in the second half of the season, now that they have more or less designated that they're going to be a seller, is, hey, let's let's put these guys into pressurized situations. Let's see how they react.
That's part of the runway roll, right? When you're trying to figure out what guys are, dig a little deeper. What do you got in the tank when we throw back out there in the 7th inning of something like this? It's how you find out and evaluate your type of pitchers, and I think it was another win. If there already was enough wins for Michael McGreevy, you add another one to his column after what he's done in the 2 seasons he's been at Major League. He's walked 5 guys in 2 seasons that he's pitched at the Major League level.
That's crazy.
Like 5 guys, and what is it, 9 starts that he's had? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I second Pedro Pajes' side note to Wilson Contreras saying, yeah, I agree.
Can I give the Cardinals a little bit of credit just here for a moment? Doesn't happen often,
it's
but
doom and gloom still from yesterday.
that's fair. The last thing that I wanted to add here on Michael McGreevy, and we'll talk more about him later on today. If you guys want to get your thoughts in, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. The Scott Lee Heating mic drop features on the 101 ESPN app. I actually think they do deserve a little bit of credit for how they have developed Michael McGreevy. And what I mean by that is there was no rushing him here. In fact, they probably took 2 weeks too long. But I like the fact that he is 24 years old and now becoming a true big league starter. Like, he just turned 25 a couple of weeks ago, right? He is now ready to be, he is fully formed. He was baking in the oven for the full amount of time, right? How do you like your cookies baked, Alex? Do you like them like
doughy.
a little bit mushy still in the middle?
Yeah, doughy. Oh. Yeah. They got to come out basically almost uncooked.
Timon, you're more of a almost like a cracker.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
a little
disgusting.
bit.
Anybody who
Pretty crunchy?
has a cookie
Yeah.
that crumbles when you bite into it,
I don't want to dough in the
Nasty.
middle. That's disgusting.
that's exactly what you
In the past, I think Mo has liked his just straight out of the freezer, like just cookie dough. He doesn't want them baked whatsoever.
Well, that's how you get E. coli.
And that's been an issue for the Cardinals is they have fast-tracked these guys straight to the major league level, and that means some guys end up pigeonholed into a bullpen role. It means other guys come up here and get their teeth kicked in, like a Johan Oviedo, for example. I think they did a really good job of not falling victim to that with Michael McGreevy and just saying, hey, you're going to go down there and you're going to work through any of the issues that you may see at the major league level. Let's work through that stuff at the minor league level where the pressure is less before you have to face that at the major league level. He's still going to have some stuff. Like, lefties are going to get to him eventually. They're going to stack a bunch of lefties in the lineup, and he'll have some troubles with them, and he'll have to figure out what is my answer to this question. But they were able to allow him to have that time to marinate down in the minor league level. He's the same age right now as Matthew Liberatore is. Think about that for a second. Think about how long Matthew Liberatore has been at the major league level and how much of that experience McGreevy was able to get down below where it's a less pressurized spot. So I do think this serves as a bit of a template for them for future non-Liam Doyle level pitching prospects. Give it time. Allow these guys to go down to the minor league level, have not just one, but maybe even multiple seasons at AAA. And then when they get up here, when they're ready to go, they are the fully formed versions of themselves and they can hit the ground running instead of, having multiple seasons where they're trying to learn at the big league level. So I do think they deserve a little bit of credit for that. I think they were about 2 weeks too late on him being a major league starter regularly, but I think they even played it right for most of this season. I think it was right to have him as the 6th starter coming into the year and to have him down at AAA level, and then eventually you could kind of transition things. They just never had the injury that we were all waiting for as a part of their rotation.
Cardinals were trying. Nobody would agree to it,
And Fatty, here's a picture of your body.
Well, you don't
tell us what hurts.
You don't want 15 days
Nothing.
off? We'll pay you. We'll pay you, man.
It's paid leave, dude. But yeah, I think they deserve a little bit of credit. I know nobody agrees with me.
I'm
on
with
this.
you there, and I think on top of that, and it plays into what you're saying, is just the jockeying between you're a bullpen guy, you're a starting pitcher, you're back to the bullpen, go to the minors. What they did with Liberatore, what they did with Zach Thompson.
Yep.
They told Michael McGreevy you're a starter. They kept him in the minors. They brought him up and put him in a starter's role and said you're going back down to be a starter.
And never once deviated from it.
Stick with what the plan is.
Every point you are a starter on a starter's schedule, you will throw a starter's capacity of pitches. And I do think there's value in that. All right, he's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm
Cookie was
BK.
just right.
Coming up
Gooey,
in 15
crunchy.
minutes, John Denton, Cardinals insider for MLB.com. But next, John Mozeliak had some interesting comments yesterday, and it sure sounds like he's going into this with a clear mind of, Cardinals are sellers. We'll let you hear it next here on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends out at Classic Air Care, who is here to take care of your HVAC system. And more importantly, here to provide the knowledge and the safety that you need when we get to this time of the year where it's going to be so hot outside. The worst thing that can happen is that HVAC system just go out. You can't get a hold of somebody to come out for 3 or 4 days and you're living in heat with ice cubes under your arms. That's not what you want to deal with. You want to deal with the company that when something goes wrong, you call them, they come out, and they're able to solve that problem for you quickly. And that's where Classic Air Care comes into play. They've got over 100 vehicles out on the road, which means they're available to get to you quickly. They respond fast. They're open 7 days a week. They got 24-hour on-call people that can help if there's issues at the evening time. So they're there to take care of you. I've been using Classic Air Care in my first home that we purchased in 2016, and the house that we use now still come out twice a year to take care of the unit for our maintenance agreement. So call them today, schedule that maintenance agreement, or just have them come out and check it before we get into this heat. Just do me a favor when you schedule it. Tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. You can schedule online at classicaircare.com.
T-Bone on BK. We'll be joined by John Denton in about 15 minutes here on BK and Ferrario. He's going to join us on the YouTube stream. So if you want to check it out over there, youtube.com/101 ESPN STL is the place to go. John Denton was one of many media members that were available out in Denver yesterday as John Mozeliak speaked.
Can you speak?
That's good grammar.
Let me say this up front.
And he called you out for the part thing yesterday.
I'm on cold medicine right now, so I can't be held accountable for anything that I say today.
He's got excuses, apparently. Yeah.
So I do apologize.
How do you get a cold when it's 104 degrees outside?
I would love to ask my 2-year-old son that exact same question.
Never mind. Now I know why.
Yeah. Suddenly it's all coming together. So John Mozeliak speaked to the media yesterday, and
Nailed it.
as he spoke to the media, he explained where the team is at and more or less agreed with our assessment. I do apologize for this audio. It's not the best, but it is from Denton and Katie Wu. Both of them sent it to us. Tried to get the best that we could. It's in a dugout. It's not the clearest, but it gives you the general idea of where Mo's at right now.
Where we are in the standings definitely affects, our decision making moving forward in the training match. Playing those 3 games and losing all 3 is not helpful. Obviously, we want to come out of the break, have a positive start to it. We didn't, and so as we reflect on really what's, there is the longer view in terms of, are there decisions that we can make that would better situate the franchise in 26 and beyond? And so obviously we have a lot of players that people have interest in, and we have to sort through all that before we make a determination of exactly what this is going to look like.
So he basically says there, for anybody that didn't hear it clearly, again, I apologize for the audio. I don't understand why they do these things in the dugout, but it is what it is. He said, if there's anything we can do that will help us for 2026 and beyond, that is something that we have to look into. He was asked a follow-up question on that, Alex, of, are you guys going to be a soft seller? Are you going to be a true seller where you're selling all of your assets? He said, hey, listen, we're open to anything. It just has to make sense for us. Do you now believe that they have officially signaled to you, T-Bone, listeners right now, everybody involved, this team's a seller, right? We can all agree with that?
Yeah. I think you can read too much into it where he said, anything can happen in terms of maybe potentially changing their mind. But to me, the emphasis of what he was talking about was when he said the 3 games that we just played and lost doesn't help. You're talking about going up against a team that's similar to you in the standings and how they've played this season, and they beat you up pretty badly. So playing the Colorado Rockies, to me, I don't think it has much emphasis on what John Mozeliak's decisions are. Now, maybe the Padres series can change their minds a little bit, but no, I hear that and I say, cool, they've made the decision. They're moving on from at least they're pending free agents. Like the Ryan Helsley news from Bob Nightingale of not QOing him, plus that comment tells me Helsley's not going to be here. And if Helsley's gone, I don't know what else you're going to just keep on your roster.
T-Bone, my read on this is basically like the team had to convince Mo why he should buy, because the predetermined setting was we are planning to be sellers at this year's deadline. And we would need a reason not to do that. And the team didn't give them enough reason not to do that. So now, as we are 10 days away, basically, from the Major League Baseball trade deadline, this is what it is. You guys didn't give us enough of a reason to change our course, so we're going to stick with what we had planned on doing prior to the season. I think it's smart.
Yeah, I think that's where they are. I think in the back of their mind, they always knew they were probably going to be sellers at the deadline. And as you said, the team's what dictates what you end up doing. And they have not been a good baseball team since really June. June, it's not like this is just a weird 10-game stretch. They haven't played great baseball since the month of June started. They had the great May where we got all excited and went, oh, boy, maybe they can kind of piece this thing together. But, yeah, they look like sellers. And I think him leaving open the kind of the door for maybe they change their mind is like if they do what Milwaukee's doing, right? If you win the final 10 games up until the trade deadline, okay, yeah, maybe we change our mind then, because now you're really going to move up in the standings. You sweep San Diego, you're going to start leapfrogging some of those teams ahead of you. But I think Mo knows what we know. They're not going to do that. They're not going to win 10 games in a row. He's just leaving that one little door in case that, 10th of a percentage point ends up happening. He's not just quoted saying, yeah, we're going to be sellers. But, yeah, he just declared to everybody that's listening in Major League Baseball, hey, call us. We've got some relievers that you may want for the postseason run.
We did get this text from the 636. Guys, I understand Mo is still the president of baseball operations and title for the remainder of the season, but I find it kind of ridiculous that he's going to be making decisions regarding the future of this team and its assets. That is something that I did want to ask you guys about. What's your level of trust that Mo will get it right in these deals? Because I've been frankly annoyed by the way that they're handling this in terms of, hey, how much, if you just ask this bare bones basic question, how much influence will Chaim Bloom have on the deadline, since all of these players that you're acquiring will be under his reign for the next, hopefully decade? You will get no response to that. We've asked. I mean, I tried to ask on the draft, very simple question to Randy Flores, and I truly do think that interview with Randy Flores was amazing. There was one question that he sidestepped, and it was, what was Chaim Bloom's influence in the draft room? And he basically said, that's a question for Chaim. And I said, I'll ask him in November, because that's the next time that we're going to be able to talk to him.
Send him a note down to his room in the basement of Bush, maybe?
It's really frustrating because, I don't know how they're planning to approach this, Alex. Most public statements seem to indicate he's the one making these choices. I think that's crazy. Like, if Mo is deciding who to sell, cool, I'm good with that. That's fine. He's in charge, right? This is his roster at the big league level on who to sell. What I don't understand is why Chaim Bloom wouldn't be the one basically picking the players coming back. They're his players. Like, starting on August 1st, there's a transition period that's going to be taking place, and then by November 1st, it's Chaim's team. I would be surprised if any player the Cardinals acquire at this year's deadline plays under at the big league level under John Mozeliak. So shouldn't those be Chaim's choices?
Yes, they absolutely should. If you're asking me, I don't know, man. This is just such a wonky thing to hear throughout the season of how they've been so hush with Chaim, but yet he's the one taking over. Me personally, I just don't believe that Chaim's not a part of this trade deadline.
He can't, right?
There's no way that he is not sitting in that room, just like at the draft. And I know Randy Flores sidestepped that, but I do not believe that Chaim Bloom is not sitting in these rooms with these decisions being made about the future of the Cardinals. How do the DeWitts not make sure that that's taking place, of Chaim sitting in these rooms, because they know that he's taking over? And
I think the hard part, though, is, Alex, like, who's making the ultimate decision, right? Who has the final say? And to me, the final say on the returns, not the trades, not who's going out. The final say on the return, and my opinion, should be Bloom. And I can't tell you that that's not happening. I don't know, because they won't answer the question.
Yeah. I mean, the final say is going to be John Mozeliak regardless, because he's the one that's making the decision.
I think that's crazy.
But the hard part is, and I don't believe John Mozeliak would be getting. He would be getting opinions from Chaim Bloom saying, like, hey, I think you need to be trying to acquire this player, not this player. And Mo being like, yeah, okay, well, I'm going with this player because I want to. I do feel like there is going to be a collaboration between the two in terms of what these trades look like.
Totally.
Because John Mozeliak has to understand the impact that Chaim Bloom has in terms of evaluating these younger players. So I do not believe that this trade deadline is going to come and go, and John Mozeliak is going to basically say, no, Chaim, you're not invited into this room. We are making these decisions. You can make the decisions next year's trade deadline.
I'm in full agreement with every single thing you just said. The place where I would go one step further is, and then Chaim should have final say on the returns. Like, yeah. my switch would be, and I don't know if this is going to impact 1, 2, 5, 0 of their trades. I have no idea. But in the scenario where they are talking to other teams and they're saying, hey, we're trading Ryan Helsley in this particular setting, right? What kind of a return should we be looking for? Who are the specific players within that system that we're going to be pinpointing that are the guys that we want? And if there's any disagreement on that, tie goes to Chaim Bloom.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody on the text line brought this up. Guys, bookmark this situation for later and compare it to how Army and Steen operate during the transition session as well. I view that very differently, and maybe this is a me thing, I don't know, but I view that personally very differently. Alex Steen is coming in. He's never done this job before.
Yeah.
The reason that Chaim Bloom is here is because of the way that he has evaluated and developed young talent.
Yeah.
That is his entire job for the 2025 season, is the minor league situation that apparently went to crap. The Cardinals are saying that, not me, over the last 5 years. And Bloom is here to fix it. So if that is his job, that is his role, then the guys that are coming from other minor league systems into yours, in my opinion, should be under his purview. So with Steen, it's very much a, hey, I'm learning the job.
But with Steen also,
so I think it's a very different situation.
Yeah,
personally.
well, absolutely. And they even said that in the press conference. The reason he was hired and they made the announcement was because for the next 2 years, they want Steen to be around Doug Armstrong to learn the operation. Steen knows kind of what goes on, but you have to learn how to navigate those waters. But the difference also is, like, Steen was making some of those decisions at the draft. The draft in Nashville, he was the one that kind of told the scouting department these two kids in Sweden might be somebody you need to keep a close eye on.
Sure.
So he had a say in these conversations. And Doug Armstrong has even referenced Steen is in that inner circle to when they're making decisions on trades like Zach Bolduc and what this looks like.
It's Army's decision.
Doug's decision, yes, because Doug's the one that's in charge, but he's taking all of the opinions from everybody around him, which I think is what's going to take place.
That's what Mo does.
Yes.
Mo does the same thing, to be clear here.
Your biggest thing is Mo should not be the one with the final say at this deadline. It's Chaim Bloom.
Bingo.
I'm with you there.
That's the difference. And I do not feel that way about Steen.
Yeah.
Steen should not have final say at next year's deadline if the Blues, for whatever reason, end up as sellers. I would not say Steen should be making the final decision over Army. In that scenario, I would say Army should have final say because he's the guy with the experience in these situations. He's the guy that has shown an ability to like really dominate in these settings. And Steen, you get to be the benefactor of one of the greatest general managers in the history of hockey.
I think you just
handing things over.
I think you just kind of answered your question, though, that you opened up the segment with. How much faith do you have in John Mozeliak with this trade deadline? You have faith, and you want Doug Armstrong to make the final decision because you know he knows how to handle this.
Damn it!
You want Hein Bloom to make
myself in.
You want Hein Bloom to make these decisions because you don't trust John Mozeliak at this deadline.
Somebody said, you guys are just talking to talk. You are putting your thoughts in their roles. You have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, you know why? Because they won't say.
Whoa.
They won't say.
Whoa.
It's
If
not
the
good.
Cardinals would come out
You're a
and
little sick, I wouldn't yell.
Sorry, man. If the Cardinals would
Got
come
a
out
little
and be
something
honest
coming out.
about what Hein Bloom's role is, and they would allow him to speak to the media once, then we would be able to have a better idea on how this thing operates.
Stop getting so
Unfortunately,
angry.
they choose not to. So they are opening themselves up to this kind of speculation. All right, John Denton, he's very plugged in with the St. Louis Cardinals. Maybe he can give us a little bit of insight on Hein Bloom's role as we get closer to the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Denton joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals took down the Colorado Rockies last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set is tonight. 7:40 will be first pitch. Eric Fetty will be on the mound for St. Louis. And Cardinals insider John Denton will join the show coming up next year on BK and Ferrario. This Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. CMilano.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
My awareness level is at an absolute zero.
Tebow,
today.
we brought in a 17-piece orchestra for your updates now.
It's like, what the heck just happened to my right?
Carries a tuba on his face, believes that it's not going to make any noise when he blows it in the middle of T-Bone's update.
Somehow I had no clue that my blowing of a nose during a break was going to be taking place while T-Bone was talking.
It's the equivalent of starting up a
I
Harley.
even said stand by, which is code for quiet.
BK here stand by. He's like,
John Denton is the Cardinals insider for MLB.com. He joins us via the Callier and Thompson hotline. John, I cannot be held accountable for anything that I say today. I'm on cold medicine. I do apologize. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Life's good. Hang in there.
We're doing all right. We'll make it work. John, you guys were able to talk to John Mozeliak yesterday about where the Cardinals find themselves. It sure sounded like he more or less said, hey, we're going to be a seller at this year's deadline. You were there. You got to hear the full conversation, and then I would imagine probably talked to Mo a little bit before or after. What is your interpretation of what John Mozeliak had to say yesterday?
Yeah, BK, I think the 3-game series in Arizona was very eye-opening, and how demolished the Cardinals got. I mean, they were never in any of those 3 games. I think he sees reality. I asked him a question, and I actually got hey, that's a good question. I asked him, I said, is your standard making the playoffs? Is it being able to win the World Series, being able to win a series? He said, good question, but he didn't really answer it. But he did say, if you don't get in the playoffs, nothing else can happen. So he said, basically it comes down to how are you comparing in your division? And right now, before last night, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Reds were all surging while the Cardinals were backtracking. So he basically said without saying that, hey, they're 4th in the division right now, and that's a team that needs to sell rather than, buy at the deadline.
John, do you think it was just that Diamondback series that shifted their mind, or are we talking about going back to June? Maybe they've already decided and wanted to see what took place.
Yeah, coming out of that Cleveland series, they were season best 9 games above 500, but it really fell off a cliff after that. They went to Pittsburgh, didn't score a run in 3 games. I think they were 4-8 before the break, and then you get swept 3 straight coming out of the break. So it really changes the feel of this team. Mo's not going to go all the way as saying one way or the other. He hates absolutes. We all know they could sweep this series against the Rockies. They could take 3 out of 4 against the Padres, and who knows, maybe play well, sweep a good Marlins, a Marlins team that's playing well right now, and then they're right back in it. So I don't think he wants to, say definitively right now. He kept using the word fluid. They want to stay fluid, which means I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do, but I think we can all kind of, read between those lines.
So if this is kind of the way that things go prior to the deadline, John, and they end up being a seller, we know Helsley's likely to be a part of that. Maybe Phil Maton's a part of that. Maybe Steven Matt's a part of that. It sure seems like everybody's ready to pack Eric Fetty's bags to send him out of town, if possible, including his teammates, apparently. Is it going to go any further than that? Or is it just the expiring deal specifically on the pitching side of things in your mind?
BK, I think that you could put JoJo Romero's name in that mix. I mean, why would Philadelphia not call about JoJo Romero? I mean, he played there. He's become pretty much a lights-out lefty against other lefties. He's pitched really well after a slow start to the season. I kind of wonder in the back of my mind, would this franchise try and trade Brendan Donovan? I know it's blasphemous. I think he's the best player on this team. I think he's the heart and soul of this team. But we all know that J.J. Weatherholt is coming. He's probably lines up more as a second baseman than a shortstop. Do the Cardinals take calls on Brendan Donovan? He's kind of in that Harrison Bader, Tommy Edman. You wonder if they're ever really going to pay him. because this organization feels like they can churn out that second base utility guy over and over and over. So it makes you wonder if maybe you try to sell on him while he's high now, as opposed to waiting down the line if you have no intentions of ever paying him.
John, we've had this conversation on the show. BK has brought up the idea. Would you consider Masyn Winn before trading Brendan Donovan?
You know, I've thought that. I've wondered that. I know there is some frustration within the Cardinals about Mason's discipline. Ali Marmol said yesterday he's right where he should be, which, you know, I don't 100% believe that. Masyn said he hopes that this is the worst year of his career. I'm actually going to write about this tomorrow in my newsletter. Masyn says he's highly disappointed in himself. He expects more of himself. He expected to be further along. So it does make me wonder, but I don't see how you give up on a shortstop that good. You know, if you look at J.J. Weatherholt's minor league numbers, I think he had 6 errors as a shortstop and none as a second baseman. He profiles better as a second baseman. And you just, you know, arms like Masyn Winn, shortstops like Masyn Winn don't come along but once every decade or so. I don't think there's any way possible you give up on him now. So, you know, yes, maybe they listen, but I would have a hard time believing they would ever pull the trigger on something like that.
John Denton's our guest here on 101 ESPN. You can read his work over at Cardinals.com. That's where you can find his newsletter as well, as he was just referencing there, talking with Masyn Winn. John, when you think about some of the decisions that they have to make on the position player side of things, most of these guys, whether it's Brendan Donovan, as you brought up, or Masyn Winn that Alex brings up, Jordan Walker, Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, all these different options, they have term remaining beyond this season. Do you think those are guys that the Cardinals would like to see, hey, we're going to make these decisions in the offseason when Chaim Bloom is the one that is making those choices? Or do you think they would consider moving on from one or some of those players at the deadline while Mo is still in charge?
You know, I think cost control is a big thing. You don't want to this organization doesn't want to get rid of guys that they have cost control over. And I don't think Mo wants to get rid of a Nolan Gorman. You get rid of Nolan Gorman and he goes to Seattle and hits 40 home runs, that's going to stay with him forever. You know, you get rid of Jordan Walker and he goes to the Braves and hits 30 home runs, that's going to stay with you forever. I know it doesn't look that way now, but you have to remind yourself that he's 23 and Gorman's 24 and they could become a different player. I think they're going to hold on to those guys. This organization is all about draft and develop, and they're going to hang on to those guys that they have control over contract-wise, because that's a way to control salaries. And we all know that, you know, salaries are a big deal right now. They want to control salaries the best they can, and they're not going to give up on a Burleson or a Walker or a Winn or a Gorman who they have salary control over right now.
John, what about the trade clauses? How much impact do you think those are going to have for the trade deadline? They
very well could. Those always play in. John Mosey, like I said yesterday, he plans to check with Nolan Arenado. If something comes up, if he gets a call that blows him away and somebody wants Nolan Arenado, you know, there's a lot of teams. Paredes with the Astros just tore a hamstring. Max Muncy's still out with the Dodgers. The Yankees' third base situation is a mess. There's a lot of teams out there that need third basemen. So, are one of those teams willing to gamble on Nolan Arenado, whose numbers are falling? If something comes up, if somebody calls about Wilson Contreras or Sonny Gray, they're going to check in again and say, yes, I know you were all in before the season, but where do you stand now? So I think that's due diligence. I think Sonny Gray and Wilson have no desire to leave. I think Nolan, if he could get into a championship situation, I think he would jump at that.
Last question that I've got for you, John. We'll get you out of here on this. We appreciate the time today. One of the things that I've grown increasingly frustrated with is the way that the Cardinals are approaching this transition period situation. Like the Chaim Bloom can't talk to anybody. He's not allowed to speak to the media. And anytime that you ask about Chaim Bloom, it's like, hey, no. We don't talk about that. If you want to talk about Chaim Bloom, go ask Chaim Bloom, but then you're not allowed to talk to Chaim Bloom. So what I wanted to ask you about this situation, John, is when you talk to people in or around the organization, how much influence do you anticipate Bloom having at the deadline? Because if they're going to be a seller, basically all of those players will play under Chaim Bloom, not under John Mozeliak. So how much influence is he expected to have at this year's deadline in choosing who those players are going to be?
I think he has a huge influence, BK. Nobody does a move in a silo. Like when they do a move, it's thrown out to the whole table. And Chaim has a big spot at that table. And I think what he said is going to be given tremendous credence. Now, we all know that John Mozeliak still wants to, run the show, and it's his show. And until he's out of there, it's his show. But they would be foolish not to listen to Chaim, a guy that they've entrusted their future to, a guy they believe in, a guy who has a track record of really building good teams. I think he has a big spot at the table. I think he'll have a lot of say in every move they make going forward.
He's John Denton. Find his work over at Cardinals.com. Be sure to follow him on Twitter as well, at John Denton555. John, thanks as always for the time, man. Appreciate it. Enjoy yourself out there in Denver, and we'll talk with you next time that we see you out of the ballpark for a homestand.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Jim. That's John Denton, Cardinals insider for MLB.com, joining us here on BK and Ferrario. Sincerely appreciate his time here on the show. Alex, do you think they're going to be selling Nolan Arenado at this year's deadline? Do you think that's something that could realistically happen?
No, because I don't think the team that he'd be willing to go to is going to call. And I don't think the Cardinals would be willing to eat some of the money that the other team would probably ask the Cardinals to eat. So I think there will be teams interested. I mean, John just listed off the reasons why, and there are some third basemen that have fallen to injuries of teams that are hoping to contend for a World Series. The issue, I think, is more so on the Cardinals side of, is he willing to accept the trade there, and are we going to eat that money? And I don't think the Cardinals or Arenado would do most of what the team's calling for.
I'm really curious to see where he would be willing to go.
I don't know why you would.
What are the teams that he would be willing to waive his no-trade clause for? Like, Houston was supposedly on the list, and then they weren't on the list, but they're good.
I don't know why you would go to the Yankees.
Is he willing to go with the pressure of being in New York?
Man, the pressure of New York, yes, but you look at all of the guys that get all of the flack for it, it's not going to be Nolan Arenado. Frankly, that team, he'd be a savior for that team for how bad they've been third base-wise.
And they desperately need defense. Like, he's actually I think he would be a great fit for the Yankees.
Totally. You don't even need the bat there. They've got the offensive players. They need somebody who can lock down third base to keep them competitive with Toronto.
They're so bad defensively, man. It's embarrassing.
The left side of their field is awful. Between third base and Volpe has just been awful for them.
Yeah, so I think they make a lot of sense. I think Detroit would make a lot of sense, but I don't know if he's willing to move his waive his no-trade clause for there. I think the Dodgers, if they wanted to do it, could make some sense.
That's where I think you'd have to eat a lot of money, and I don't.
What about the Mets, maybe? I don't know.
I think you'd be more likely to go to the Yankees than the Mets.
Because didn't you say yesterday, T-Bone, that Vientos is somebody that maybe would be coming up in trade conversations this year?
Yeah, they're apparently trading from some of their infield depth, and Vientos was a name that was floated out there, someone they might be willing to move on from.
If that's the case, maybe they're a team that you could look at as well, where they're just saying, hey, we're going all in this season. Let's see what we can do. I think there are obvious options out there. It just becomes a question of like, hey, Nolan, what do you want to do, dude? Where do you want to go? And if he's going to have a two-team list, it's possible that the Cardinals aren't able to do it. I think the Cardinals are going to be willing to pay down some of this stuff. Like, they showed the willingness to do so with the Astros deal. Yeah. But now it just comes down to where he wants to go. I wonder if maybe they're going to be able to find a deal for him.
I have to imagine teams are calling because I just don't know how many third basemen are going to be out there, with the exception of Eugenio Suarez, who's you're not going defensive upside there. You're going more offensive upside there. So if you're the Yankees, if I had those two in front of me, I think I'd rather have Arenado, who's great or better defensively.
I'd rather have Suarez just because the bat plays so well right now. And defensively, you're fine.
And he's a rental.
Yeah, so that
would make sense.
That would be my preference, but I mean the cost for the acquisition, not financially, but prospect-wise, is going to be much lower for Nolan Arenado than it will be for Suarez. So that's the situation where if you end up getting beat out for Suarez, now, all right, let's pivot. Who are the other third basemen on the market? The answer is basically nobody. And now maybe you turn your attention to somebody like a Nolan Arenado. And the other thing for the Yankees or the Mets, they could buy him out next year. And the Yankees just did this with what's his face? LeMahieu, where he was making probably more than what you're going to have to pay out for Nolan Arenado the remainder of his career. So in a worst case scenario, if it ends in disaster, you can get out of it in that scenario. I think, to me, he's the only position player that I could realistically see getting traded at this year's deadline. Do you guys have anybody else that fits into that criteria? I don't think anybody else is going to be moved at the deadline. I think there will be some activity in the offseason, but not the deadline.
I think there will be teams calling. You'll see names pop up. I think you'll see Gorman's name pop up. I think you'll see Nootbaar's name pop up if he gets healthy by then. I think those names will pop up. Brendan Donovan's name will pop up in the rumor mill. I think they move him in the offseason.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it would just be Arenado, because I think you hold on to those cost control pieces, as John Denton was saying, how much the Cardinals value. Everybody across baseball values cost control position players. You hold on to those guys to be more of a buyer move in the offseason, looking for something that improves your team rather than selling on them now.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, we're going to dive into Michael McGreevy's outing from last night. Is he different than what the Cardinals currently have? And if so, how? What is that difference that we would pinpoint? We'll get into that at 12 o'clock. But next, questions and answers, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line here at BK and Ferrario.
got questions, BK and Ferrario may have the answers. Questions and Answers presented by Vantage Credit Union. As a local financial partner, Vantage puts your needs first. Membership eligibility required.
That was rough. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. All right, from the 314, guys, which team in the NFC has the best chance of being your surprise fall-off team in 2025? NFC, best chance to be a surprise fall-off team this year. Interesting question. Would it be a surprise to you if the Minnesota Vikings, quote-unquote, fell off? Does that qualify?
I don't know if I'd qualify that one since they're going through a QB change.
Okay, then I'm struggling because I don't know who actually qualifies. Like Philly would qualify. I don't think they're going to fall off. Detroit would qualify.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't see them falling off to the point where they miss the playoffs, but could they go from 15 to 10 wins? I could see that.
I'll say it's the Rams. Old.
Stop.
Kyron Williams.
I think the Rams are better this
be
year
a
than they were
holdout.
last year is my concern there.
You know the one I'll throw out
Mine's
here?
Minnesota. I don't know where else to go with this. I don't
Mine's
think
Green
that
Bay. They
it's
stink.
Philly. I don't think it's Detroit. I'll go Minnesota, and if you don't think that qualifies, then half of the playoff field doesn't qualify.
I'll go Washington because we've seen, I feel like the last 2 years, where you see that rookie quarterback come out and go, whoa, that guy is here to stay. He's going to be top 5, top 10 in the NFL. And then there's the sophomore slump. And you saw that with C.J. Stroud. I don't think Debo's going to bounce back. They made the move to get Debo Samuel to help them with the wide receiver room. I'm just not sure how much is left in the tank for Debo. I could see where they kind of fall off a little bit. Maybe, I don't know if I'd say fall out of the playoff picture, but I could see where they're the last team in. And that is not what they were last year. They were a team that was in contention. I mean, they took down Detroit in the playoffs. So I'll say Washington will be
All right, we got a super chat over on YouTube. YouTube.com/101
super chat?
ESPN STL. They paid for it.
You paid for it.
You pay for a chat. You bet you're behind. We're going to talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
You bet we're going to spend 15 minutes on it.
We are about bringing in the revenue, and this is revenue. From Clint, surprised you all didn't discuss what Denton had to say about Donovan and the possibility that he could get traded. What are your thoughts? We've talked about this before. I think that it's absolutely a possibility that Brendan Donovan gets traded. I don't know that it will happen, and I certainly don't anticipate that at the deadline. I think that's an offseason move. But, guys, they're going to have to trade from their surplus of position players. And that doesn't necessarily mean you just trade the worst of them. It could mean trading a really good player to get you something you don't have. This is what Doug Armstrong did this offseason. It was not popular to trade Zach Bolduc. He's a very good player, and all of us agree on that. I don't think there's anybody in St. Louis that would say Bolduc stunk. You had to get him out of here. No. But they needed defensemen, young, big, puck-moving defensemen. They got one for him. I think the Cardinals could do something similar, whether it be with Brendan Donovan or, yes, I'm going to bring up the name again, Masyn Winn, where they trade a very good player that everybody loves in order to get something that they believe is more valuable for what they're missing. Maybe that's a big power outfielder, right-handed outfielder, or a big power arm for their rotation that can slot in towards the front end of that thing. Those are the kinds of moves that they need to make. And yeah, I think Donovan could fit into that. Maybe Masyn Winn.
Everybody wants to trade the pieces that you don't want on your team anymore, right? Like everybody always goes to trading away the Nolan Gormans or the Newbars, the Jordan Walkers. People think that you could trade Pedro Pajes and go out there and acquire a number one starter. This is not how it works. We all know this. If you want to get something to make your team better for the long haul, you got to give up something that you don't want to give up. Whether that's Masyn Winn or Brendan Donovan, you're going to have to give something like that up. The reason why we're targeting either Winn or Donovan is because you have J.J. Weatherholt. And whether we like or whether you think Donovan is just kind of this season and he falls back down to earth, or if he continues this over the next few years. Timeline-wise, age-wise, I don't know if he falls into the bracket if you're the Cardinals thinking of where you're at right now. So if you're upgrading offensively, at least what you believe J.J. Weatherholt is going to be, and Keith Law called him a superstar, then you've got to trade one of those pieces right now that you already have to go get something that you don't have, whether that's that corner outfield right-hand bat that's a superstar potential, or if it's the number one starter, go make yourself better because you've already got something that's going to play in that position moving forward.
It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that eventually they're going to have to do. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Last one here. Guys, I saw the other day that Matthew Tkachuk was in St. Louis with the cup. If you could eat or drink anything out of the cup, what would it be? I'm excluding T-Bone because we know it'd be seltzers for him. I think you got T-Bone and Alex mixed up there.
Yeah, Alex would have
Alex is
seltzer.
the seltzer
I would
guy.
totally do Bud Light Lime.
That's what you do.
No, make Ultra Cactus Lime. That's what it was. Or Pink Whitney, one of the two. Pink Whitney would go harder. Eat? Man, I don't know.
I would like to do shots of tequila out of the cup.
Ooh, that's
You gotta
fun.
understand, like the germaphobe in me is like, man, so many people have put
Well, they
their
clean it.
mouths on this. Yeah, they clean it, but like I've seen them clean it. It's just like this like towel.
It's probably with infected stuff on it.
It's got to be something St. Louis if I'm eating out of it. So probably toasted ravioli. With some marinara sauce or some buffalo sauce.
Somebody did that. I don't remember who it was.
It was
Somebody
Maroon.
did that.
Maroon did it at his wife's family's restaurant.
There you go.
Yeah,
I knew I remembered somebody doing it. I'm glad you
Probably
remembered
just
the
a
play.
pile of Provel cheese.
Disgusting.
You guys are insane.
Somebody said T-Bone would just throw hot dogs in there and just
Yeah.
guzzle them all.
Yeah. Get the hot
John
dog juice
scores,
in
good
there.
one. Eat Ted Drew's out of it. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And then you
Oh, that
tip
would
the
be
cup
fun.
upside down and see the
Yeah.
custard
that is
doesn't
an
fall out.
interesting one.
It's a
I
good
don't know
one,
if
John.
I've seen anybody eat ice cream out of the cup either. I can't think of any.
I'm sure
any
somebody's
player.
really
done
good
ice
idea.
cream
I'm sure
out
they
of it.
have, but I can't think of anybody off the top of
Surprised
my
nobody
head.
from St. Louis did Ted Drew's out of it.
Can you imagine going to like side projects and getting one of their barrel-aged beers and just
Oh,
drinking
yeah.
out of
man,
it?
I'm gonna
Just
have
motor oil coming out of the cup.
Cactus
That'd be
Lime.
great.
No.
6 cans.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into NFL quick hitters. But next, is Michael McGreevy all that different than what the Cardinals currently have in their rotation? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario. Alex and T-Bone on BK. So Michael McGreevy was great last night. I'm not going... I want to say that on the front end because I think sometimes, like when we have the conversations in the past about Ivan Barbashev, or when we have the conversations more recently about Masyn Winn.
Try and trade McGreevy?
No. If you say somebody has value on the trade market and that's why you're having the conversations about it, all people hear is that you hate that player. So when I'm about to say what I'm about to say, all people are going to hear is that I hate Michael McGreevy, and I promise you that is not the case. But, Alex, yesterday he had 1 strikeout over the course of 7 innings. That is very similar to some of the guys that we've grown frustrated with here in St. Louis who are pitch-to-contact oriented, right? And Michael McGreevy is going to run into some of those same issues. If you don't believe me, go look at his minor league numbers. More specifically, his last 2 starts down at the minor leagues where things did not go well for him. Or look at the start that he took against the Chicago Cubs, where he went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 5 earned runs, only 1 strikeout. In his last 2 starts now at the big league level, he has 2 strikeouts over the course of almost 12 innings. He is not a guy that's going to get a lot of swing and miss. So, Alex, when you watch Michael McGreevy and you see his profile, is he different in your mind than the other starters in the Cardinals rotation, most notably Miles Mikolas, Eric Fetty, and Andre Pallante, who are also very much pitch-to-contact style starters?
Yeah, to me, he's different because he doesn't walk guys. He doesn't put himself into issues. I mentioned it at the top. He has 5 walks and a total of 9 starts already at the major league level. And you guys mentioned it earlier as well, and you understand that side of the pitching better than I do, but it's just the placement of where he puts the pitches. When he's hitting the zone, it's not dead down the middle so that everybody starts to see beach balls coming at him and lines it over the wall. Like, he has the ability to pick corners. He has the ability to pick spots and get some swing and miss. Not a lot, some of it. But more than anything, it's the fact that he doesn't put himself into an issue. If guys are getting hits off of him, that's great, but he's not going to walk more people to put himself in trouble's way. So that's the difference, in my opinion. When Mikolas takes the mound, when Fetty takes the mound, when Pallante takes the mound, when guys in the past take the mound that the Cardinals identify as good starting pitchers for them, man, yeah, they're pitch to contact, but they're also pitch around the strike zone, and they put 2 guys on the base paths.
Not Mikolas, though. That has never been an issue for Miles.
No, that's been low, but Mikolas puts it in the middle, and people hit home runs off of him.
Now, and that's where it is.
Early on, Mikolas didn't do that.
Yeah, I think he can be, maybe not to the extent of like a 2.83 ERA or even a 3.29, but he can be probably a 3.6 to 4 ERA guy, McGreevy. And to your question of is he better than what they have? Yes, it's not significant, but yes, and it's because of the 2 things that you laid out there. It's one, he doesn't walk guys like Pallante. He has the same profile Pallante minus the walks, because Pallante gets the ball on the ground, doesn't strike out a ton of guys, but he puts too many free base runners on. McGreevy doesn't have that problem. And then for Mikolas, when he was pitching well for the Cardinals, he was always a guy that would work the edges, right? He was going to work the edge of the play. He was always in the strike zone, but it wasn't in the heart of the strike zone. And that's become his problem over the last 2 years. It's just there's too much in the middle of the plate. Just watch his most recent start against the Diamondbacks. BK mentioned it. Those home runs to Suarez, that's not where he puts those pitches in 2022 or 2018 when he first came over here. He's putting those on the edges where he wants to. Now he's missing with location. But McGreevy's not that guy. I mean, you look at his start last night. The 2 hits that led to runs, one was a perfect, I think it was a sinker low and away to a right-handed batter that got flared out for a base hit. And then the other was a slider that was out of the zone that the guy chased and hit into the left field for a base hit. That's going to happen, but as long as he is locating his stuff on the edges, he's going to remain to have those soft ground balls that BK had mentioned earlier. So instead of being a 95-mile-an-hour ground ball that has a better chance to get through the infield, it's like 87 miles an hour, and you give your defense a little bit better of a chance. So, yes, he is slightly better than what they have.
So I just went over to his Baseball Savant page, and I love looking at the similar pitchers based on the velocity, the movement, et cetera. When you look at the similar pitchers to Michael McGreevy, I think he gives you an idea of the kind of pitcher that he could ultimately be. And I think it tells you a little bit about the range of outcomes here. So one pitcher that he's compared to is Colin Ray. Currently with the Cubs, previously with the Brewers as well. He's mostly spent his career in the NL Central. He's like a league average starter, right? He doesn't get a whole lot of swing and miss stuff. For his career, he's 10% below league average in terms of his ERA. This year, he's slightly better than that with the Cubs. That's kind of like the downside case for Michael McGreevy as he becomes something similar to Colin Ray. The upside case here, and this is, I think, like the 90th percentile outcome, is another pitcher which he is compared to, and that's Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller of the Pittsburgh Pirates has a little more swing and miss stuff, a little bit higher of a strikeout rate over the course of his career. He's closer to like a strikeout per inning kind of a guy, but not overwhelming, and consistently right around maybe a little bit above league average in terms of his ERA. I think that is, if you're looking for an upside case to Michael McGreevy, it's probably something resembling what Mitch Keller has been, which is a mid-rotation starter for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I think that's pretty much where McGreevy's going to be. In the best case scenario, if he continues to improve his arsenal, he adds a little bit more swing and miss stuff to his game, he could be for you what Mitch Keller has been for the Pirates. And in a worst case scenario for the Cardinals, Michael McGreevy is probably something similar to what Colin Ray has been in his major league career as well, when he's been healthy, which has been a problem for him most of his career. So what does that mean? You're probably looking at a back end of the rotation starter. He is what I hoped that Andre Pallante would be. Soft contact, doesn't walk very many people, gets you deeper into games, saves your bullpen in those games. Honestly, he is what Dakota Hudson in a best case scenario was supposed to be. That's it.
Yeah.
He's Dakota Hudson without the walk issue.
Which is what the Cardinals have been unable to do over the last 5 years, is find these guys in their own system, develop them, and have them cost controlled.
He prevents you from having to go sign Steven Matz. He prevents you from having to go sign Kyle Gibson. He prevents you from having to go sign Lance Lynn. He prevents you from having to go sign Mike Leake.
Yeah.
These guys that are costing the Cardinals $10 to $15 million per year, they avoid that by developing Michael McGreevy. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page of, what is this? What have you developed here? What is he likely to become? Because I think because of the lack of options in the rotation right now, the hype has gone a little out of whack with Michael McGreevy on what he is and what he's likely to be. This is not a guy that ever projects to be a front-end starter. We have to be understanding of that. He can help you. He's better than some of what you have internally right now. That doesn't mean he's great. He's fine. That's pretty good for what the Cardinals are needing.
But there's still upside there, too, which, like, the biggest thing is the reason I think so many, including us, have gotten frustrated of why you just don't see more of him at the major league level is, like, you can develop more into your arsenal. Like, I looked up the Savant page for Quinn Priester, and Priester was compared to Michael McGreevy last year.
Interesting.
And we look at and the reason I brought that up was like, well, Priester was somebody who didn't have a lot of strikeout stuff when he was with Pittsburgh and Boston, and it was like, well, he's probably back end of the starter, and then look at what he's doing for Milwaukee. That's why you want to get more reps for Michael McGreevy at the major league level, to find out, like, okay, what does it look like when you're going every fifth day? Can you find more pitches that work for you that maybe become swing and miss stuff? But you're right. It's all about evaluating the player. If you're hoping that he's a number two for you, you are going to be disappointed in about 3 months. But if you look at it and say, hey, he is a back-end starter that every fourth or fifth day, he's going to go out there and give you 6 innings and give you your bullpen an opportunity to breathe, that's a win for the Cardinals, because you haven't been able to develop that, and you could spend that $15 million on something else that you absolutely need.
Somebody on the text line from the 636 said, guys, what's so wrong with a pitch-to-contact starter when you have good defense? If anything, it allows for your starter to go a little deeper into games. There's nothing wrong with it inherently. It limits your upside. If you have a pitch-to-contact starter, there will be games where he doesn't get deep into games, and he does allow a ton of hits because it's not hit at people. Because, yes, even if you have a great defense, just by the percentages, there will be situations where the ball doesn't quite go where you want it to. And it goes down the line, there's a double. Now there's another one that's put into play right up the middle. All right, there's a single. You have just scored a run. Now suddenly, oh boy, that one was hit harder than you expected it to. That's a triple. All right, another run scores. Like this happens. We've seen this. We're not surprised by it anymore. This is the Cardinals rotation for the last, decade, where they have fallen behind the rest of Major League Baseball. There is nothing inherently wrong with pitching to contact. It limits your upside, and it increases the risk of what you could have as a downside game where you just give up a ton of hits, a ton of contact, and it's not hit at people. And now you look at what the last couple of years have been for Miles Michaelis. That's the true downside. So it's not a horrible outcome, but when you have a first-round pick and you were hoping for something more, or you could have aimed for something more, the upside is just not there. All right, coming up in 15 minutes, is it runway time once again for Jordan Walker? We all ready to go?
We're back there again?
We'll get into that coming up here in just a little bit. NFL Quick Hitters is next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's time for some NFL quick hitters here on BK and Ferrario. Alex, I have good news for you and your Colts.
They're not my Colts,
No, man, you said yesterday they're your Colts. The
You're
Colts
the one
may
that likes
limit
Richardson.
Anthony Richardson's throws, but there are no other restrictions on him to open up training camp.
Sure, until he takes that first hit, and he's like, oh, my shoulder's down again.
Alex, who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this year?
Who's their other quarterback?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that guy. I forgot Danny Dimes was there. Yeah, you bring Daniel Jones in because you know Anthony Richardson's not going to stay healthy. I think Richardson will start 5 games for him, maybe. Daniel Jones is their starting quarterback, which is why they're not my Colts.
I'm just repeating what you said.
You're the one that liked Anthony Richardson. You're the one that said he will be the best quarterback in the class.
Top 10 talent team in the NFL. So you have officially adopted
I see
them.
what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to make me the Stalter San Jose Sharks guy. No,
not trying. You did it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I got the cut.
I can go back and find the audio for you. If you
don't understand what sarcasm sounds like. That's fine, man.
Apparently, neither did our audience. T-Bone, who do you think is going to be starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this year?
I think Alex's team is going to be running it with Danny Dimes. I don't know if there's much more left in the tank for Anthony Richardson. He's already dealing with, like you said, he's got throwing limitations. So he is so much of the YOLO offense that I think they're ready to move on. And I think they're not quietly. They are kind of tanking. They're hoping that Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson will lose them 13 games and they can go draft their quarterback in next year's class. That's what they're doing.
Sweep it. Okay.
And then use Anthony Richardson as a running back.
I don't know.
He'll be
their goal line quarterback, similar to what Cam Newton once was, where they just throw him in there, be a battering ram for us at the 1 yard line. He'll do like the tush push stuff, similar to what the
he might
Eagles
get hurt.
are doing.
His shoulder can't afford to do the tush push
You
stuff.
know what? Actually, you make a really good point there.
He'll be a kickoff receiver.
He'll snap and go, don't touch me, don't touch me.
Suddenly, I've been boxed into a corner twice in one show.
Man, it's a good day for Ferrario.
Next thing that I wanted to get to here, guys, the Steelers are having an all-in offseason. I don't know if you've heard this, but
wait, what?
Yeah, it's an all-in offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's ridiculous.
Shouldn't every offseason be an all-in?
Have you not heard this?
No.
I've heard this. I can't believe it.
This is from Adam Schefter. The Steelers' blockbuster offseason is now complete. One that included making TJ Watt the NFL's highest paid pass rusher, signing Aaron Rodgers to be the quarterback, trading for DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, and Jonnu Smith, trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick and George Pickens, and adding a veteran like Darius Slay. What's the upside for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, Alex, now that they've had a blockbuster all-in offseason, adding DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Darius Slay, Juan Thornhill, and Jalen Ramsey?
9 wins.
Okay.
9 wins. Right above 500. Probably sneak in playoffs, maybe not. That's where it is. On paper, they actually had an awesome offseason. Like those names that you just mentioned, it's impressive.
Everything other than the quarterback situation, I actually feel pretty good about.
That's where I was going with it. I like the fact that they got Slay, although Slay sometimes can't stay healthy. You get DK Metcalf, you get Robert Woods, you get rid of George Pickens. This is great, man. But then you got Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback, so 9 wins.
Drafted the former Iowa running back Caleb Johnson, who I really liked in this year's class. You bring in a really solid tight end. Now you've got Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith. Like, dude, a lot of this stuff, I'm in.
9 wins.
Sounds great. I just cannot possibly think that a team with Aaron Rodgers in the year 2025 is going to do more than what Alex is suggesting. So, yeah, 9 wins. Feels about right to me.
Yeah, I mostly give them the 9 wins just because somehow Tomlin always proves he can get above 500.
Yeah,
like if Tomlin wasn't there, I probably would say 7. That's how much I would be. Tomlin, I think, buys you that extra 2 wins. This is the worst all-in offseason I think I've ever heard of. And I think it mostly goes to that quarterback spot.
100%.
This is terrible. How do you call this all in when your answer is a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers who didn't even sign his contract till like a month ago?
Former MVP.
Oh, this is ridiculous.
Same thing that they did with Russell Wilson.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad for an all-in offseason.
All right, T-Bone said that he wanted to talk about this today, Alex. It is training camp report day for most of these teams across the NFL, which means it's contract discussion time. Trey Hendrickson reportedly will not be reporting to the Bengals camp amid his contract stalemate. Stop me if you've heard this one before. I don't know, in the last 3 consecutive off seasons. This one, according to him, is real. He really wants a new deal, like really, really, really wants a new deal. Alex, my son, at home recently said, I really, really need this. That is Trey Hendrickson, basically, with his new contract that he really, really needs.
What do you tell your son when he says, I really, really need this?
No, you want that.
That's what the Bengals are telling you. The Bengals are like, no, you don't need this. You want that, and you're not getting it from us. And guess what, Bengals? Your defense is going to be worse than what it was last year, which you thought last year was bad. Try not having Hendrickson. And haven't they still not signed their second-round pick?
First round pick.
Or first-round pick?
Yeah, he's chilling at Texas A&M right now.
Cool. So, yeah, their defense is going to be awful, and Joe Burrow's still probably going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year.
Those were supposed to be their two starting defensive ends. Unfortunately, neither of them is there to report for camp.
God,
What could go
where
wrong?
to go, Cincinnati?
Yeah, on the plus side, they've added, let me check notes, one other starter on the defensive side of the ball from last year.
Oh, yeah? Who?
Demetrius Knight Jr., a outside linebacker.
Difference maker, I've heard.
I haven't heard that.
Don't even know who he played for.
Can we talk?
He's a second-round pick.
Oh, there you go.
Came
See?
from this year's
So they can sign their draft
What were you
picks.
saying, Tebow?
Can we talk about these stupid holdouts? I hate. Look, I'm so excited for football to get going. I have the college football video game. I've been playing it a lot. Love it. Ready for Illinois to make the playoff. Mizzou to win 7 games.
We'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour.
Shut up.
I'm excited training camp's getting underway. I am so tired of hearing about all these guys holding out because it's a song and dance that always ends with, oh, I may not play in the regular season. Guess what? He shows up week 1 and plays.
Well, you think the holdouts are
All
annoying?
of them do it.
How about the hold-ins? Your boy, Kyron Williams.
I
the
know.
hold-in.
What are you showing up for to watch them practice? I hate you. I don't care if you're on my team. I hate you.
The other thing, wow. The other thing that I don't understand about this one, like Trey, you play for the Bengals, dude. You signed a bad contract. Like, you signed a deal that's worth $15 million this year. You thought this was going to go well for you? You signed a bad contract. I'm sorry, dude, but this is the way that it goes. And if the Bengals aren't going to negotiate with you, go ahead, sit out games. Go ahead. They're not going to cave. This is the Bengals. They're crazy. Like, they let their quarterback retire. He literally retired. And then went and played for the Arizona Cardinals after the contract was up. Like, they will not be negotiating with you. Their first-round pick is not in camp right now because apparently his agent wants him to get paid even if he, like, goes to prison or something. That's what the owner said yesterday to the media. I'm not making that up. That is literally what he said to the media. So, yeah, they're not going to pay you, dude. And they also have your rights next year as well with the franchise tag. So, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to play for $16 million. And worst thing for you, you're also not going to be able to get a long-term contract necessarily on your terms next year either because they still have your negotiating rights. And, dude, you're 31 years old. Every day you miss, it's $50,000 out of your checking account. What do you think you're accomplishing here?
He's in Florida, though. Did you see that sunset picture he took today?
I mean, it's beautiful.
Good for him, man.
Seems great.
Just going to retire probably, 31.
I just don't get it. I am on the player side on so many of these negotiations. Like, I am for all of these guys getting paid all of their money. But there are times when you have leverage and there are times where you don't. And Trey Hendrickson has zero leverage over the Cincinnati Bengals. All of it is perceived leverage by him. None of it is real. They have all of the leverage. You're under contract for this year, and we can franchise tag you for the next 2 seasons. All right, what's your plan? You have none, other than losing $50,000 for every day that you miss. It's silly. It's nonsense. So if you see any of these, as T-Bone just said, he is right. It's just a song and dance that we have to get through for the rest of, training camp. Most of these guys will show up at some point within the next 2 weeks, and it'll all be a bunch of nonsense that just floats off into the distance. And then by week 1, we don't talk about it other than when things go awry and we're like, the weird vibe should have shown us that. And that's the kind of thing that could end up upsetting the season for the Bengals once again.
I can't wait for the Bengals to score the most points in NFL this season and miss the playoffs.
Give up the
Sound
most.
familiar? It's never happened before,
Yeah,
though, right?
it's going to be fun.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into the junk drawer. But next, is it back to runway time for Jordan Walker? Phew. We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario.
Tanner Hendrickson here. They Sports Center update drawn by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Cardinals beat the Colorado Rockies last night 6-2. Game 2 of their 3-game set in Colorado is tonight. 7:40 will be first pitch, and Eric Fetty will be on the mound for St. Louis. The Sports Center update drawn by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SEMALondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We've seen a different version of Jordan Walker. Since his return, he's 5 for 16. He has 5 strikeouts, so about 1 out of every 3 at-bats. But he also has a walk, couple of doubles, and Alex should have had a home run down in Arizona. It would have been a home run, according to StatCast, in 27 of 30 parks. Unfortunately, he hit it in one of the 3 that it did not go out. And Alec Thomas apparently covers 70% of Earth, just like the oceans. And hot damn, he was able to get to that one. It was an unbelievable play by him. So he's been better. He's hitting the ball hard. Exit velos so far and since his return, 97, 103, 96, 94, 99, 98, 102. 7 of his batted balls. All right, feeling pretty good about that. Are you feeling better at all about Jordan Walker? And is it time now for him to get another extended runway in your mind?
I'm not feeling better about him. I'm not feeling worse about him. I think it's right where I've been at pretty much this entire season with Jordan Walker. But I am on the side of what you just said. Yeah, it's time for more runway for Jordan Walker. With the Lars Nootbaar injury, which sounds like it's going to be a little bit of time, Alec Burleson getting injured yesterday, the time is going to be there for Jordan Walker. And then once this trade deadline passes and they sell, I know that the manager still has the mindset of winning. He should have that mindset because you're the manager of a baseball team. But Jordan Walker should be out there every single day because now is the perfect opportunity for you to get more answers on the guy that you need for next season. Because he's had the injury, he's had the slump, he was down in the minors, which was a rehab, but really an option. Now you just let him go. Now you just wind the toy up and just let it go for the rest of the season and see what, because by the end of the season, maybe I am feeling better about Jordan Walker, or maybe I'm feeling worse about Jordan Walker. But regardless, the hope is I have an answer at the end of this season. So yeah, starting now, really starting post All-Star break, the runway should have opened up even more for Jordan Walker.
Yeah, I think the runway's there while Nootbaar is hurt. When Nootbaar comes back, I'm not willing to guarantee him runway and playing time to the extent that he's getting right now. I think injuries have given this to him. He has to earn the ability to stay in the lineup from when Nootbaar returns, when Burley whatever's wrong with Burley after he found that ball off his foot. I don't know if I'm willing to say, hey, I'm really encouraged by what we're seeing, because I saw this stretch a month ago. I remember having the conversation of, well, things look better. He's not chasing low and away. Hey, when he does hit the ball, maybe it's not a hit, but he's hitting the ball hard. And then he fell right back into his old habits.
Well, and he got hurt.
Sure, but he also fell into his old habits before the injury occurred too. Yeah. So I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Both could be tied together, just like the back and the bat for Nolan. Do I need to sing the song again for you?
Go ahead.
The backbone's connected to the backbone.
I thought we started with the hip bone, but
you know where that's at.
Anyways, I am not going to fall for another 4-game sample, 5-game sample from Jordan Walker. If I want to believe that changes are actually happening, it has to occur for a 3 to 4 week period. Yes, he deserves playing time now because they're dealing with injuries. If he's not hitting,
Sermon got nothing to do with it. He's getting playing time now.
Exactly.
Gorman's on the IL. Nootbaar's on the IL. Burleson got hurt last night. I don't know if it's injured, but hurt last night. Walker's starting almost every day for the foreseeable future.
When they are healthy, for him to remain in the lineup, it has to be earned. Otherwise, I think he goes back to the role, which was basically banished to the bench, maybe get a couple spot starts here and there when they had a good right-handed matchup that they really liked.
My guess is you're going to see either Donovan or Sajasi getting a start in the outfield today.
Oh, you want to have some real fun? I bet it's Hampson.
Oh.
Hampson.
Why?
Oh, no?
Why?
I don't think they're there yet on Sajasi.
No, Sajasi will get the start at second. Donovan bumps out to the outfield.
Hampson.
No, there's no Hampson.
Hampson.
No. You can't pull the we're trying to win with him.
Last night.
Yeah. Defensive replacement.
Yeah, the hands team.
Well, we're going to need a hands team with Fetty on the mound.
You're going to need more than a hands team with Fetty on the mound.
Watch it, zip over
you don't
your
need
head.
a hands team when it's going out of the park.
Him starting in Colorado is going to be amazing.
How many runs does he give up?
What is the over-under for tonight's game? We've got to look
the most runs given up at a Rockies game.
Oh, God.
Well, I think the starter that's on the mound for Colorado tonight gave up 11 the last time he pitched in Colorado. It's probably up there.
The total for tonight's game is set at 12. It's set at 12. Oh, my God.
Rockies gave up, the most they've given up is 26.
Last time Bradley Blaylock pitched for Colorado. Maybe that's probably right. When Blaylock last had a start in Colorado, 3 2/3, 13 hits, 12 earned runs.
Oh, my God.
So it's going to be hard for Fetty to...
Hey, don't test him. Don't test him.
Even when
The
facing Fatty's
over-under
not
set
giving
at
up that.
12 is wild, dude. That's got to be one of the highest over-unders that the Cardinals have had this season, if not the highest.
I mean,
I'm
fair,
sure it's the
though.
highest.
Like, look at it. Look who's pitching.
Oh, I would bet the over.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me criticizing
Absolutely
it.
take
it
the
feels
over.
right, and it somehow still feels a little low.
But yeah,
like
Michael
14.
McGreevy's going to get sent down. Because, we got to get more.
I haven't seen that yet, so we can't confirm more tonight.
Sure.
Can I
Surely.
ask you guys a question that I heard the Fast Lane talking about yesterday, and I was like convulsing while I was listening to it?
Gross.
Because you're sick.
Yeah.
Probably. Did the Cardinals ruin Jordan Walker?
No, I think Jordan Walker ruins Jordan Walker.
Okay.
I think the Cardinals...
Because you look at the back of his baseball card, right? I look at the baseball reference page, and this is what Kerry brought up is, man, year one, 16 home runs, a 275 average, a 787 OPS. How did that become the player that we're watching today? Where offensively, he looked like a player at the age of 21 years old that was about to take off, and instead it went in the opposite direction. And then Kerry brought up the whole notion of like the launch angle stuff, the swing path, all of these different things. He's playing well, gets sent down, and then since then he's broken. That was his perspective on the show yesterday. I'm just presenting it as...
Isn't that on Jordan Walker, though? Like, that argument itself, isn't that on Jordan Walker?
What do you mean?
Like, the Cardinals say that you're struggling at the major league level. We want to send you down because we want you to try and fix this. Jordan Walker doesn't fix this and comes back up and is a different player.
So this is where... I'll answer my own question real quick. This is where I would push back against Kerry. If they broke him when they sent him down that year, shouldn't it have shown up when he came back up? Like, wouldn't that have been the time where we saw, oh, results were here, he goes down to the minor leagues, and according to some, they break his swing, he loses all of his ability to play at the major league level, and now it's ruined. Because the rest of the season, in the final 97 games after he came back up to the major league level, he hit 277 with an OPS of 800.
Yeah.
So he was a really good, productive major leaguer with 14 home runs in 97 games. So again, if they ruined him, if they broke his swing, shouldn't that have been when we saw it? Because we didn't. We saw the opposite. We saw a very productive version of Jordan Walker, and if that was the same guy that he is today, literally zero other changes, that is Jackson Chourio. That's what the Cardinals would have produced. But the major league level seemingly saw what was his biggest issue, which is that low and away slider. We can all see it. Nobody's hiding from it. And the next year he came back batting 201. And this year he comes back batting 219. You guys know I'm not the biggest batting average guy. When it's that low, it matters, especially when it's not coming with power. So I don't think the Cardinals broke him. I think he hasn't adjusted the way that he needed to at the major league level. And eventually that is on the player, Alex. That's where I totally agree with you.
And I do think, like, if you're playing the blame game, I think some of it is on the Cardinals because you got him up here faster than maybe you would have liked. And he wasn't,
That I think is fair.
He wasn't performing at AAA. So essentially he just leapfrogs from AA to the major leagues. So I can see how some of it is, the Cardinals rushed him to where he probably still needed to develop a little bit more. But his first full season at the major leagues, he was good. So, again, like, the argument of, will he get sent down and the Cardinals break him from doing that? Sure, I can understand that thought process, but it's also on the player to mentally adjust to that and understand, like, I've got to improve in certain areas, and he just never got back to who he was that first season. So, I mean, you can't play the blame game in something like this with one side. I think both sides are at fault, and it's just right now you're in the position where now it's just on Jordan Walker to adapt. Let
me ask this as a follow-up to it, because I do think it's a really interesting conversation, big picture-wise, for the Cardinals. What's the lesson from Jordan Walker? Like, it clearly has not worked thus far. Maybe it will eventually, but, like, as of today, it's been a disaster. It's been an absolute disaster for the Cardinals. A guy that had so much promise as a young player, and everybody was justifiably excited about him. The AA level, this guy was putting up crazy numbers, man. Hitting the crap out of the baseball, like... You had every reason to be like, this is our next dude. And ever since 2023, it's been an abject failure for everybody.
Yeah.
What's the lesson there? What can they learn from their handling of Jordan Walker that should be applied to future prospects, if anything, if there is a lesson to be learned?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know the ins and outs of everything that's going on, but to me, the lesson's probably patience. I mean, like, dominated Double-A, short stint in Triple-A, and he gets to the major league level.
0 stint at Triple-A. Never went to Triple-A until after he reached the
Oh,
majors.
that's right, until he got sent down. Yeah, so I would say patience.
I don't even know if I think it's patience because, I mean, you don't do what he did in year one by accident. Though, yes, he wasn't great when he first got here, he wasn't clearly overmatched, right? I don't even know if it's patience because I think they probably made the right call calling him up
But he
at that
still
time.
had those faults. Like, you still had those areas.
But, those weren't exposed in year one. They were going to get exposed no matter when year two was. This is just a matter of the process of Major League Baseball figuring out what he is. He could have been 24, and he would probably had a good year one and struggled in year two with the way he's not adjusting.
Do you think it would have been exposed at AAA had he been at AAA for a year?
No, because I don't think those guys can locate the slider low and away. Most of those guys are washed-up big leaguers, so they probably don't throw the slider low and away like they should, or they're trying to just blow guys away with fastball. So I don't think it gets exposed. And if I'm saying now, hey, they shouldn't send him down to AAA because it's not going to fix his problems, then that problem was never getting exposed at that point. I think
it's a really interesting perspective.
I don't know if there's a lesson to learn from Jordan Walker because, though, yes, there are some faults on the Cardinals, like why the hell was this guy not taking fly balls when he was first drafted? That there's one lesson to kind of be learned, but I don't think that impacts his bat.
Is the lesson on how difficult it is to develop a batter's eye?
Probably. I think it's the one thing that just you can't train it, right? You either have a batter's eye or you don't, and he can't seem to separate a fastball and slider low and away. And even now, though he looks better, he's still taking. And I heard Mark Sweeney say this. I don't remember if it was yesterday or when they were in Arizona.
On the broadcast, by the way,
he's fantastic. He mentioned, hey, he's taking too many fastballs for my liking. And what that is he's guessing slider, and his eye cannot decept what is a fastball or a slider coming out of the hand. Can't pick up the spin well enough. I don't know if there's a lesson to be learned from the Cardinals. I think this is mostly on the player of, hey, you had a great year, baseball adjusts, now it is your turn. And his turn, he's still waiting to have that moment to adjust back. So there is some blame on the Cardinals. I'm not trying to say they are blameless, but I don't think there's a lesson to be learned. I think this is just a sample of, dude, it is really hard to hit the big league level, and it's on the player to figure out how to get to that spot.
And I'm not even sure that there's blame. It might just be, it just wasn't going to work. And that sucks. That's the almost worst place to be is you drafted a player, you hit the lottery because all of the tools that you hoped would be there were there. The guy's working his ass off. He's trying like crazy. He gets all the way up to the big, all throughout the minor league system. It's okay, this is going to work. 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 There were spots where I think it was mishandled. I think they should have gotten him off of third base way earlier. I think that was a mistake. I think it waited way too long to transition him to the outfield. I think that is something that they've had a little bit of an issue with in their system is moving guys around more often, but whatever. It is what it is. So I think they should have moved him out to the outfield earlier. That was one issue that I think is a fair critique of them. But he hit like crazy at every level that he ever got to. Gets to the major league level, year one, hits once again. Not to the same degree as maybe they would have liked. Some launch angle stuff, all of that, whatever. They want him to hit line drives, and he's not doing that as much, but productive nonetheless. And then the league finds out this guy has a problem with spin. Can't pick it up, as T-Bone said. And he can't learn it. He hasn't learned it yet. He's more than 110 games since that first year. Can't figure it out. And if that ends up being the issue with him long term, where he just can't discern the fastball from a slider, it's not blame. That's a processing issue. There are a lot of quarterbacks. I would probably, the closest comparison that I can think of to what Jordan Walker's going through right now is a quarterback that can't read the defense quick enough. Has all of the other tools. It's all there for him. But he can't read the defense, and so his processing is slowed down. And when your process is slowed down, nothing else matters. You're just screwed. It's over. That's one of the things, with Josh Allen, he is so freaking good at processing information. It's not just the talent, it's the processing of information. Joe Burrow is a super processor. It's crazy how quick he can process the information. Maybe Walker's just not that guy. And if that ends up being the issue for him, I don't know how you fix it. I don't think that's an organizational issue. I don't think that's a Walker issue necessarily. He's trying, but there's only so much that you can end up doing long term with something like that, and that sucks. That's a real bummer. Because if it was something that they messed up, they can fix that in the future for other guys. Like, we rushed him. We tried to tinker too much with his swing. Whatever it was, if it's just he doesn't have a batter's eye,
And
I guess draft guys that have a better batter's eye.
And to me, you won't know if it is again, I won't say a pure Cardinals mess up, but I don't think you really get that answer until he leaves the organization. Whenever he leaves the organization, whatever that might be, if he's trading the offseason, they play this out, and in 3 years he's signed to like a minor league deal with, I don't know, Cleveland. If they can unlock it then I think it's fair to say, okay, so what did you miss that they unlocked? Then is when I think it is time to say, okay, what was wrong with the Cardinals' development plan?
At first, it felt like that might have been the case for Tommy Edman, where they unlocked all of this power. It was like, whoa, how did the Cardinals miss all of this?
Yeah.
And then ever
Now
since, he's been the exact same guy that he's been the entire time that he was here in St. Louis. All right, coming up next, Junk Drawer here on BK and Ferrario. into the junk drawer with Alex and T-Bone on BK. T-Bone, you said you got a list for us today?
Yeah, guys, I saw this list on Instagram the other day. The highest grossing actors of all time. I've got the top 10 right in front of me here.
Okay.
All right, so the first one I can think of is Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. is third on this list at $14.35 billion.
Samuel L. Jackson?
He is number 2. He recently just got displaced for the number 1 spot because of a movie that came out this summer. It's done
Tom
pretty
Cruise?
well. Tom Cruise is 6th.
Movie that came out this summer.
Movie that came out this summer? What am I missing?
What movie just came out that's popular?
Tom Hanks has to be on here somewhere, right?
No Tom Hanks.
What about Leo DiCaprio?
What did you say?
Leo
No.
DiCaprio? Wow.
Really?
He hasn't been in a whole bunch of
Robert De Niro?
Yeah, but he's in
billion-dollar movies.
He's in big movies.
Yeah, but you got to be in like billion-dollar movies.
Yeah.
No, to De Niro.
What about Dwayne Johnson?
Pacino? Oh, The Rock.
The Rock.
No.
No Rock?
The Rock's movies have not done well in the box office.
Who am I missing that's obvious that would be number 1?
Will Smith?
No Will Smith.
Really?
There are 2 females in the top 10.
Oh, I thought it was male.
No. Highest grossing.
Black Widow.
Well,
Why am I
said
blanking on her name?
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett
She is
Johansson.
number 1.
There
She
you go.
just got that spot because of the new Jurassic World
Jurassic
that came
World.
out.
God, she's the number 1 highest grossing.
Those Black Widow films. I mean, you think all of,
$14.95 billion.
she was in the
Amazing.
second Iron Man and was almost in all of those Avenger films.
That's amazing.
Okay, so what do we got right now?
So you've gotten 1 with Scarlett Johansson, 2 Samuel L. Jackson, 3 Robert Downey Jr., 6 Tom Cruise.
Who's the guy from Jurassic Park?
Chris Pratt.
Pratt. He's got to be on there.
He's at 5.
Because that movie makes $1 billion every time. Who else is in Marvel movies that we haven't mentioned yet, Alex?
Chris Evans.
Chris
Chris
Evans got to be
is
on
at
there.
7.
Okay, so this is just a Marvel list. Tom
Yes,
Holland.
Of course.
No Tom Holland because
Wow.
he's only been in a couple so far. He'll probably work his
mentioned
way up
Pitt.
here.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's not in it.
And if you're going this big of films, there's another female on this.
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth is 9.
There's another female on
So
here.
you are missing 3 in the top 10. 1 has been in a Marvel movie, but you don't see him in the Marvel movie. Actually, 2 of them have been in Marvel movies, and you don't see them in the movie.
Is Denzel up here?
Denzel's one of them.
No,
No,
not Denzel Washington.
So who's the voice of Thanos? Is that who it is?
No, but you're on the right track of what you're looking for here.
Who's the other Spader?
No,
No. Who's the other
don't
one?
know who
says 3 words.
Bradley Cooper. And
Bradley Cooper's
Vin
10.
Diesel.
Vin Diesel's 7.
Okay.
And his is mostly carried by Fast and Furious.
Oh, well, but you
I
got
was
2
thinking-
franchises.
Now, the one that is the other female, and it's the only
Is
one
that
you
Margot
haven't gotten.
Robbie?
No. She has been in, I think it's multiple. She's the only actress and only actor, I believe this is still true, to be in 2 different franchises in 2 different movies that have made $1 billion at the box office.
2 different franchises.
When I say it, BK's seen them.
Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
Avatar and Avengers.
She is at number 4.
So basically
Because
what you're
of
learning.
Avatar.
She's great. I'm surprised
She's
she's
really
not
good.
high.
So basically
But
what
it's
I'm
because
learning.
of Avatar and then the Avengers and Guardians of the
What
Galaxy.
we're learning, kids, is just be in a
Dude.
comic book movie.
It's so annoying.
And also, Chris Evans, dude, why'd you ever leave?
Also, this is why they're making all of these movies.
Yeah.
Like it can frustrate me to no end, and it does frustrate me to no end. But God, when you see a list like this and every single one of them is
It frustrates you, but you know what? Those are all really good movies. So it's like it can get frustrating as much as you want.
Yeah.
Those movies were fun to watch.
agreed, but once you get to Endgame, like the story's basically been told now. And so now you have to go to the next thing, right?
Which is why it's probably not going to be as successful.
And that's the problem is now what we're going to do is we're going to go through this again where, okay, how do we pivot off of this? Oh, we'll just tell similar stories, but not quite the exact same story with the same people.
Well,
or
Isn't
at
that
least
what
try to keep as many
Star
people-
Wars is doing though?
Kind
Sure,
of,
but it was
yeah.
like a 50-year span.
No, I know, but
where
like,
there's
you
like
take-
3 different
if
franchises.
you take episode 7 of Star Wars and you compare it to episode 4, I mean, it was literally
Yeah.
the same thing. They just made instead of a
That's
Death
what you
Star,
do.
a Death Planet.
You find the most successful franchises and you say, let's milk it.
And to
See
your
how far you can
point,
milk it.
Agreed. What's different though is they're just continuing to add on year after year after year on this. That one, it took like 25 years after they were done with the originals to like continue.
I mean, I could
on
argue
with the next
Jurassic
one.
Park's doing the same thing too, which is kind of
yeah.
annoying.
I agree.
Agreed.
It's you just take it and it's like, where are you going with this
To that
now?
point on like kind of doing the same thing over. Did you see what the head of Marvel, Kevin Feige, said yesterday? What they're going to do?
No.
They're going to use this, their next 2 Avengers movies are Doomsday, and I don't remember what the other one's called. I think Secret Wars. They're going to use that to kind of quote-unquote reset the timeline. Yeah. So they're going to recast Iron Man and Captain America. Yeah.
They're just going to bring them back.
That'll work.
Yeah.
The problem wasn't about the characters. The problem was about the actors playing the characters. And you knew at some point you were going to lose them.
He's Alex's T-Bone on BK. We did pretty well on that list, Alex. It's better than normal.
One thing
for
I'm
us.
pretty confident in. It's my knowledge in terms of movies and actors.
I figured you guys
should
would do
go
pretty
on
well
with
on
the
that.
Movie Boy podcast.
There's a Movie Boy podcast?
Jackson's doing a Movie Boy podcast. The first one was, I think, an hour and 50 minutes of him talking to himself. It was just a solo pod of just Jackson.
You know what? The invitation is, the offer's out there. If you'd like me to come on, I'd be happy to go on and
I actually
discuss.
think you guys would do a really good job with that.
I do love me films, and I do love me history of films.
I think T-Bone would be good on that podcast as well.
Yeah.
I would be the worst one of the 3 of us on this show. I could do a TV show boy podcast, but I wouldn't
I
be
can't
great
do
on
that.
the Movie
I'd
Boy.
probably be good on TV Boy, too.
Yeah, I can't do the TV one, but I could do the movie.
I'm
So
catching up
Jackson,
on
the
all the
invitation's out there.
90s comedies. So, I'm expanding my repertoire.
Yeah,
Have you, though,
hate
really?
all of them.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Big Lebowski yet?
No, the one I'm on right now, I don't even know if it
Have you
was
seen-
90s. It might have been early 2000s, is Home Improvement with Tom
That's a
Allen,
good
is
one.
that his name?
That's a
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. I
don't
knew Tom
even-
Allen was wrong.
Tom
I
Hanks.
said I was learning.
Tom Hanks, Tim Allen. You were close.
That's a choice.
Yeah, that's the one you went with. There's so many 90s shows.
I saw it on.
That's the one you went with?
I saw it on Netflix.
I couldn't believe you blew past it.
I was more like he said Tom Allen, and I'm like, you don't even know the dude's name?
I enjoyed Tim Allen, so I was like,
That's
okay.
fine.
Yeah.
That movie, that show wasn't that good.
Honestly,
I'm only like 2 episodes in. Give it time.
I do not mean this to come off as tone. It will, but I don't mean for it to. That makes a lot of sense that Tim Allen's your guy. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, I like Tim Allen too. Don't get me wrong. It's just if I'm going 90s TV shows, that's not the one I go to first.
Well, I watched Everybody Loves Raymond,
That's a
Friends,
great one.
Seinfeld. I was going to do King of Queens.
King of Queens is
and then we
good.
didn't renew our Peacock subscription, so I went to Netflix where Home Improvement's at.
Somebody on the text line said, I'd rather listen to BK's Theology Pod. What do you think would do the best? BK's Theology Pod, BK's Podcast Pod, or BK's TV Show Pod? Or the Dad Pod?
Did you say BK's podcast pod?
TV pod.
TV pod.
Political
Okay.
pod. That might have been what you
I think the dad
Political
pod would
pod.
be the most successful, but you don't want to do it. So
We've made a lot of podcasts on this show. Haven't actually done any of them other than the Redbird Report. But, man, we've made
All
a lot of
great in
podcasts
theory.
here on the show.
technically, Jackson should ask us to be on his podcast. Between you and I, 2 very popular podcasts on the station.
That's true. That is true.
But instead, haven't gotten the invitation.
Coming up next, how
Who
do the
knows?
Cardinals'
The
no
thing's
trade
on
that. I didn't
clauses
either.
play into this year's deadline? We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario. text line said, BK, your next podcast should be called The Knuckle Trick, and I'm just going to leave it at that. No context added. Alex, how do the Cardinals
Hold on.
look at their
I'd like to
no
spend
trade
more time with
clause
that.
players at this year's deadline? So we're talking about Nolan Arenado, Miles Michaelis, Sonny Gray, Wilson Contreras. Those are the players that have a no trade clause that are veterans that could potentially, I suppose, be in conversations as we get closer to the deadline. Do you think any of them are realistic trade candidates for the Cardinals?
No, I don't. I think the most realistic one is Nolan Arenado, and I just don't believe he's going to accept a trade to a team that's not his preference. And the teams that might be interested don't scream Nolan Arenado, which basically what I'm saying is it's the LA Dodgers. And if the LA Dodgers aren't going to trade for him, then he's not going to go anywhere. But I think I think all the pitching no trade clauses are just locked in. Michaelis isn't going anywhere. Sonny Gray's not going anywhere. I think those guys are here to stay. And then you get to Wilson Contreras. And I don't believe Wilson Contreras is going to want to go anywhere. And frankly, I think the Cardinals are probably like, let's keep this guy on our staff because still an impact right-handed bat and he can play first base for you. So I think the only one that's realistic is Nolan Arenado. One, I don't even think the return would be anything worth going after if you're the Cardinals. And two, I don't think Nolan Arenado is going to accept a trade anywhere unless it's the Dodgers.
So let's start out with the other ones, and then we'll get to Arenado. Michaelis isn't going anywhere, guys. He has said as much. He just wants to finish here. He's either going to be with the Cardinals or they're going to DFA him. That's it. And I don't see them doing that. And if I'm just being totally candid, I don't see a reason to do that. If TK Roby was totally healthy, good to go, and you get into like mid-August, late August, and you have to have that spot for him, I don't think you would. You just wait until September 1st and then call him up for the 27th man. Sure, maybe you talk about it. But otherwise, who's pounding down the door that can't get here unless you DFA Miles Michaelis? I don't think there's somebody that you feel that way about. If you had two Michael McGreevys, all right, now it's a real conversation. You don't, so whatever. Miles Michaelis, keep throwing for the Cardinals. In the meantime, Sonny Gray has made it pretty clear he doesn't want to go anywhere. And John Denton told us earlier today, if you missed our conversation with him, check it out on the podcast page after the show today, that he doesn't believe Sonny Gray wants to go anywhere. All right, he's going to be around. Wilson Contreras said the exact same thing. He's not going anywhere. Cool. Arenado's the one to me that is interesting. And I think you're right, Alex. I think it just comes down to, does he want to be here? What's his plan? Are there teams that are interested in him that he's interested in going to? I think it becomes an Arenado decision, more so than a Cardinals decision on that one.
Just hearing everything from the offseason, Nolan Arenado doesn't scream a guy that wants to uproot his family in the middle of the season.
That's a good point.
It's an offseason move. And that's, like, as much as he wants to win a World Series, I think family's important to Nolan Arenado to the point that it's like, no, I'm not going to uproot my family with a month or 2 months to go in the regular season with a chance, a very slim chance to win the World Series. I'll wait till the offseason and see if a team comes calling that I want to go to.
It's kind of how I feel. T-Bone, are you on the same page here? Do you see it a little bit differently?
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. I don't think any of the no trade clause guys are going anywhere. And I say this with the caveat of, hey, it's Sonny Gray's decision. He can decide that he wants to be here. He's the only guy, to me, that would carry significant value on the market. I mean, he's a guy that can go in and be a number 2 in a rotation for the playoffs, a number 3 for a team that's looking to add to their rotation, but he didn't want to go anywhere. And you know what? That's his right. He earned that right. He signed the contract with a full no-trade clause. So my expectation is he's going to be here. I just don't think there's enough teams that are going to have interest in Arenado. And I think it's one. I agree with what Alex said. I don't think he wants to separate his family based on the conversations in the offseason. So I think that will be the driving force why trade doesn't happen. Also, I don't think teams are going to pivot towards him. Like, as much as we talked about earlier, hey, the Yankees, like, if Suarez isn't on the board, like, what do they do at third base? I think they'll piece it together because Arenado's just not the same guy anymore. That I just don't think teams are going to want to give up some assets for to go out and acquire, even if the Cardinals do pay down some of that money. So I think all 4 guys are still going to be here. I
know we've spent a little bit of time on this. So we don't have to dwell on it too much, but I've made people mad by bringing up the possibility of the Cardinals trading Masyn Winn. This is definitely not something I do think you do at the deadline, but, you know, it's the time when we talk about trades, so I'll go ahead and bring it up now. Fangraphs puts together their annual list of the most valuable trade commodities across Major League Baseball. They do a top 50 list. I like following along with this, A, because I'm curious if there are any Cardinals on the list, and B, I just like to see how kind of some of these players are valued across the league. And this is at least one man's opinion on the matter. And he talks to people in the league and he talks to executives, whatnot. He had Masyn Winn at number 45 on his list, the 45th most valuable trade asset in all of Major League Baseball. To give you some context on some of the guys that are around him, there are a few different shortstops that are in that same range. They have Zach Neto at number 43 on this list, just ahead of Masyn Winn. They had C.J. Abrams just a little bit behind Masyn Winn, Jacob Wilson a little bit behind Masyn Winn as well. Other noteworthy players that are on this list are in that range. Byron Buxton came in at number 41, and Roman Anthony came in at number 42. You may be familiar with him. He's one of the top prospects in baseball that just came up and is having some success now with the Boston Red Sox. Alex, the reason that we bring up Masyn Winn's name is not because we want to trade him. I think all of us would love to keep Masyn Winn in St. Louis. He's a really good player. You've got great defense, and he's young. It's like, yeah, you developed a potential franchise player, right? This is the kind of guy that you should want to build around. It's twofold. One, he has a ton of value, as is shown by this kind of a list. And two, you have somebody that could conceivably play his position in J.J. Weatherholt, who you think could be decent defender. And what Masyn Winn is defensively, J.J. Weatherholt has the potential to be that offensively for the position, right? So that's the only reason we're even bringing this up. And then you see where he's at on a list like this. Like, man, you could dream a little bit on what the return could be.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Do they have on Brendan Donovan where his trade value is?
He's not in the top 50.
Yeah. That's the part.
Well below.
That's the part that you go to and you say, well, why would you trade Masyn Winn? It's because if you want to trade Brendan Donovan, the return's not the same. You're trading a guy who is an all-star, who probably brings you back, if you're just looking at the pitching side of things, a middle rotation guy. If you're talking Masyn Winn, you're talking top-end rotation potential.
If you're trading Donovan, you're probably getting prospects out of it.
Yeah.
If you're trading Masyn Winn, you could trade Masyn Winn for major league caliber players right now.
Yeah.
Masyn Winn could be viewed by some teams as a quote-unquote prospect, not because he actually has prospect status, but because like he's going to be with your team for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, and my last week,
Donovan has 2 years left.
Last week when we talked about this, my hesitancy with trading away Masyn Winn was like, man, it's like at least he is a clutch performer or has been in these last couple of seasons, and you know you're getting elite defense versus a Brendan Donovan who age bracket wise, I just don't know if he falls in line with what the Cardinals are hoping for. And if I'm bringing in a J.J. Weatherholt, I think I'd rather trade a Nootbaar, a Gorman, a Donovan, any of those other pieces before. But all those pieces I just mentioned, they're not bringing you back something that makes you significantly better. If you're trading Masyn Winn, you're getting significantly better because of that return anticipation of where he's at. And you're also improving offensively. Now, defense may take a step back because Weatherholt doesn't sound like he's gold glove material like Masyn Winn, but I'm getting superstar level offense, it sounds like, from what Keith Law told us. So to me, it's a decision that you don't want to do, but anytime you make a baseball trade, hockey trade, you don't like giving up what you're giving up. But you're dreaming on what the upside is going to be for the return.
Text line, somebody says, guys, I'm pretty sure they've said that JJ profiles more as a second baseman. There's some disagreement on that. He could be a plus defender at second base. That seems to be the overall opinion. But most people that watch these guys regularly say that JJ Weatherholt could be a shortstop. The only reason that's not really under consideration here in St. Louis is because they have a shortstop in Masyn Winn. But in most organizations, I think JJ Weatherholt would probably stick at shortstop unless they got a better option at the position. And then, like when Jeter was at shortstop, suddenly A-Rod has to move over to third base, even though A-Rod was the better shortstop. Makes me sick. We don't have to talk about that right now.
You are insane.
How do you always find a way to go after Derek Jeter?
Every single time, man.
Unbelievable.
And acting like he wasn't great defensively.
He was one of the worst rated defenders in the history of Major League Baseball.
Defensive metrics stink.
In fact, I think the worst.
No, defensive metrics stink.
Okay.
In
a short span, I agree with that. Over a long period of time, and
still stink.
They label the jump throw,
especially
the Jeter
in the early
throw.
2000s.
I didn't hear him label it the A-Rod throw.
Yeah.
A-Rod could somebody had to say to you?
I don't care.
You dumb bleep. You just said you'd rather trade Gorman, Nootbaar, etc., but you scolded us an hour ago for thinking people would want those guys. Get your bleep together, you dumb bleep.
Wow.
Praise coming in from all directions. Coming up next, Better to Forget It here on 101 ESPN.
Vegas sets them up, and we're here to make the call. It's BK and Ferrario's Bet It or Forget It on 101 ESPN.
Presented by Circus Sports Illinois. Sports betting the way it should be.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are betting it or forgetting it here on 101 ESPN. Alex, I normally don't do this, but let's go ahead and do an actual bet. Bet it or forget it. This game goes over the 12 for the run total tonight. Bet it.
$100 on it.
You okay over there?
My voice is struggling. Dude, on Thursday, we've got our show. We've got our podcast. We've got another podcast that I do later in the day. We've got a meeting that we've got.
You'll be fine.
I hope this is going to be better by Thursday.
It sounds like me from September to April.
That's true.
My voice is typically gone. April to like June's kind of like recovering the vocal cords, and then you get back to it.
T-Bone, bet it or forget it, over 12.
Oh, bet it. Yeah, this is going to be like a 8-6 ball game tonight.
Alex?
I think we said like 19 total runs in this one. 10-9 final score. Colorado.
You think Colorado wins?
Yeah.
It can't beat Fetty.
Oh, so you think all those 12 runs are coming from the Cardinals?
What we're going to hear tonight in the locker room is, we can't ship that Fetty guy out.
Dude, it's going to be... Can you imagine if he goes like 7 1/3, 1 earned run? Just like slightly better than what we saw from McGreevy yesterday. Do you think it would be amazing?
Do you think the media goes over to Wilson Contreras and asks about Eric Fetty? It's like, so Wilson, what did you think of Eric tonight in this one? Okay, guys, bet it or forget it. By the end of this season, Jordan Walker established himself as next year an everyday corner outfielder.
Forget it.
Jeez.
I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? On who do you blame in his development? I just don't think he can read spin. And I think right now he's doing a better job of trying to lay it off. You can tell he's still tempted when it goes out there. I think he's just on a heater. I think he'll go cold again, and he won't be in the starting lineup by the time we get to September.
I think it's just hard to make a case for him over some of their other options. Like, I think Ivan Herrera has a better case to be a starting outfielder on opening day next year than Jordan Walker. T-Bone?
Guys, bet it or forget it.
I'm responding for the 314. He's still very angry with me. Yeah. I don't like being called names on the text line.
I'm just used to it.
You genius. You were just talking to hear yourself. You have no clue what you're talking about on any subject on any day. Go ahead.
Guys, bet it or forget it.
Bet it or forget it. Ferrario gets a clue.
Forget it.
Are you kidding me?
Bet it or forget it. J.J. Weatherholt will be a September call-up for the Cardinals.
Man, we were just talking about this off air. He's been really good at AAA. I think Alex is right. I don't want to step on your toes, Alex, but I think it kind of depends on what happens with Nolan Arenado. If Arenado is traded at the deadline, I think it's an obvious bet. If he's not dealt at the deadline, it does become a little difficult to make it work playing time-wise, but I'll still say bet it because I think they're going to value those 20-ish games. And by doing that, you retain his rookie season eligibility for next year, and he's going to have a really good chance to be able to be Rookie of the Year, and you want to get that draft pick compensation in the event that he does.
Yeah, I think he's going to be up here because I think if you're the Cardinals, some of the motivation is let's see what he looks like. Let's get him so he can see Major League Baseball so he can adjust this offseason, kind of like what they did with Masyn Winn. So I'm betting this one.
I would forget this. Now, I think this is the way to do it with hitting prospects because I liked what they did with Masyn Winn, where he got the September call-up, got to get a taste of the big leagues, what's it like, and then get an off-season to adjust to it. I just don't know that they're going to be able to move pieces away to where they can free up playing time. And I don't know if they're going to be willing to say, hey, Masyn Winn's riding the bench while we start J.J. Weatherholt now. I don't see them doing that. I think he's going to just continue the season down at AAA, and he will be more on like the Gorman plan when he first came up, which was I think he was called up in either May or June. I think that'll be the plan for next year.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Bet It or Forget It. Guys, Bet It or Forget It, Bloom will clear out all of the coaches and all of the front office leadership and replace him with his own people. I'm going to forget this because I think they've already done a decent amount of that, especially on the minor league level. Really, I think that, for me, more interesting or more prevalent question is, will he change the actual major league coaching staff?
Yeah.
And that I truly do not know. I would probably still forget it, but that to me is really the question.
Yeah, I think I'm going to forget this one because I don't think he changes the major league staff the first year. I think you see what it looks like with the guys that are already here, and then you adjust after that.
Yeah, and I think that would be when Ollie's contract's up, if I'm not mistaken. So I forget this as well.
What do you think the response would be if they extend Ollie in the offseason?
No, I'm sure it'd be great.
I'm genuinely asking.
I think people will be
pissed.
livid because I think there's a chance they finish below 500. And again, I don't think that's Ollie's fault. I think what he's doing already is very impressive, just like it was last year, how they finished above 500. Because you look at their record, they are, 3 games above 500. Their Pythag win should be 51-50, so they're about at expectations. But then when I throw in the caveat that they've got 5 starters that all have ERAs above 4, and they don't have a qualified hitter with an OPS above 800, that's not a team that should be, quote-unquote, in the playoff race. That's a team that should be like what the Pittsburgh Pirates are, which is like 40-61. So, yeah, I'm going to forget this. I think Chaim Bloom's probably been impressed by the work that the coaching staff has done, that he's not going to make a change.
Somebody texted in, guys, can you confirm? My buddy texted me, R.I.P. Ozzy. Yes, R.I.P. to Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, not Ozzy Smith, Ozzy Osbourne.
R.I.P. He did pass away. That is according to multiple reports out there. But yeah, no, not that one. Ozzy with a Y is the one that passed away. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Guys, better to forget it. The Blues will go big game hunting next free agency period and open up a new cup window for the foreseeable future. I think they're probably talking about McDavid.
Yeah, probably, because there's going to be people for the next 6 months being like, oh, the Blues are so going to get Connor McDavid. I want to say forget this one. I don't really know who's out there that's going to be big game hunting. Like, McDavid's not happening, so move on. I'm sure people will say Kyle Connor.
Don't know that.
No, I do know that. T-Ravs. I actually saw somebody say McDavid would want to come play with Jordan Binnington.
Yeah.
That's a wild one.
Artemi Panarin.
No.
Carey Price is out there.
Carey Price. Sergei Bobrovsky, a 38-year-old goaltender.
Jack Eichel is actually somebody that I would like.
Jack Eichel's going to be re-signed by Vegas,
But
and then they'll trade him 2 years later.
Cale Makar?
Sure, but not happening.
I'd do that.
Kaprizov would be the one that I'd be interested in if
Isn't
Minnesota
Kyle Connor
doesn't
gonna be a
re-sign him.
free agent soon?
Yeah, but again, don't see that one happening.
I would do Kyle Connor.
Shea Weber, you want Shea Weber, who's 42 years old?
No.
Yeah.
Cam Fowler, he's available.
That's big game hunting for you. You want Martin H's, who's going to get $10 million? There's your big game hunting. What? Bottom line here is like, no. I think
Adrian Kempe?
He's apparently asking for $10.5 million, and go look at his numbers. You essentially got Kempe and Jordan Kyrou.
Okay.
So
there's a lot of guys that are on the free agent market next year that were on the free agent market this year. Signed 1-year deals.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you want Charlie Coyle?
yeah, go down that list and
Or
like
trade candidates from this year.
go down that list of next year's free agents and try and sell me on the fact that they won't re-sign with your team or with their team that they're there. So no, I will say forget this.
I think the one that I would look at is Kyle Connor. He to me would be the if the Blues don't get positive returns on like, hey, we have an obvious top line player here with either Booch or Snuggie, Connor would be my target.
If he gets to the market, sure. But I mean, if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you saw Ehlers leave. You've got to lock him up. My guess is he gets an extension before. Kaprizov is really the one that I'd probably target because it sounds like Minnesota's not on the same terms of thinking with him right now.
I'll get on the same terms of thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, like, this also is like Kaprizov probably wanting to go to a big market more than, wanting, because if he's going to resign, he's going to resign in Minnesota. Where's the stuff at? But yeah, I'm forgetting this.
Gooner Reloaded said, BK fraud take. I thought that Michaelis and Fetty were the 2 and 3 to start the year. And they were for you.
Alex says there's no one available, then names 15 guys better than anyone on our team. Yeah, I listed them, but they're not going to be available.
Yeah, I still want Kaprizov, though.
Sure. You know what? They're going to sign Connor McDavid.
I'd have a Coldplay moment with Kaprizov,
Huh?
I'd have a Coldplay moment with Kaprizov. Yeah.
Well, why would you turn the other way on that one? You should embrace that.
I would smile.
It's not a Coldplay. You should embrace that.
Coming up next, Eli Drinkwitz expanded on his view of the college football playoff. T-Bone loves it. He'll explain why next year on 101 ESPN.
Taryn Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals back in action tonight as they visit the Colorado Rockies. Game 2 of their 3-game set. And 7:40 will be first pitch as Eric Fetty will be on the mound for St. Louis. And if you missed it earlier in the show today, be sure to check it out on the podcast page. After the show days, we caught up with the Cardinals insider John Denton from MLB.com. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. The Rewind's coming up in less than 10 minutes. Eli Drinkwitz went up at the SEC Media Days last week, Alex, and put on a performance where he said, I would like to see a 30-team playoff. Not exactly in those words, but that was more or less what he had to say. It got thrown out there on social media, and as you can imagine, people took his words, twisted them a little bit. He didn't like that so much. So he was on with Golic and Golic this week and expanded on his thoughts on what the college football playoff should look like if they go to an expansion mode. Here's what he had to say.
The big question is, do we go from 12 to 14 or 12 to 16 playoff teams for college football? Well, in my opinion, neither one of those move the needle. You're going from a 9% to 11%. And so what are you really doing when you're doing that? And then the manner of which they're deciding the 16-team playoff field is they want to go 5 automatic qualifiers and 11 picked by a committee. There is not another major sport in the world that has a committee decide who the participants are in the playoffs. The NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, FIFA, hell, even the Olympics. You compete and settle it as competitors on the field. And so for me, what I was presenting was an opportunity for us to have a 16-team playoff field, but decided with play-in games. So if you did 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC, 4 automatic qualifiers for the SEC, the Big Ten, 3 for the ACC, 3 for the Big 12, and then 1 for the Group of 5, and then 1 for the independent Notre Dame, so that everybody had an opportunity to make the playoffs. But instead of it just being the top 4 teams in the SEC or the Big Ten, have it as play-in games.
So basically what he's saying here, Alex, get rid of championship weekend. Play 4 play-in games for the SEC, 4 play-in games for the Big Ten, 3 play-in games for the ACC, 3 play-in games for the Big 12, 1 play-in game for the Group of 5. And then it's not technically a part of the playoff. That is to get those spots into the postseason. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're the SEC, the number 1 seed would take on the number 8 seed. The number 2 would take on the 7. The 3 would take on the 6. The 4 would take on the 5. And those games would be for the right to go to the playoff. I think that's too much. I don't think, like, if you're the number 1 or number 2 seed in the Big Ten or the SEC, you should get in. Yeah. You should be guaranteed a spot. There's no question about it. You were one of the 2 best teams in the best conferences in the land. To me, those teams should be just put them in.
Automatically,
automatically have qualified. I'm here for some play-in games, though. Like, if you're the SEC or the Big Ten, even if it's the bottom 2 spots, like, you qualify 2 teams in, and then you have 2 play-in games, so you're basically getting 1 extra game here beyond what was already the championship game. So it's 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 for those 2 spots in the playoff from the Big Ten and from the SEC. I would be open to that. And I think for the ACC and the Big 12, 1 automatic qualifier, the team that wins the conference in the regular season, you're in. You don't have to go play these games that are play-in games. And then it's 2 versus 5 and 3 versus 4 for the other 2 spots that would be able to get a chance to get in. I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm glad you elaborated on it more, because I'm with you. If I can have more play-in games, I'd be absolutely in on this, because you want to see teams that have a chance to pull the upset off. More teams have the opportunity to do that and get in. I think you're absolutely right. You have to have the award for the top team in those 2 conferences for what they have done, so that they don't have to play a bottom seed. But those play-in games, that only benefits college football, and it does, he's right, take away a selection committee picking who's making the playoffs. The teams decide who makes the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of going with the play-in games for that purpose. I wonder if you have to they probably either have to start the season earlier or cut back one game.
Take out one of those non-con games.
Why? Yeah, because now you're adding a ton of football onto the slate, especially for these play-in games. I mean, you're adding an extra game to the slate to get in.
It would just be replacing the championship weekend.
Yeah,
that weekend you would play these play-in games. Otherwise, there's actually no real football that is added to this. It's the same playoff that they're currently talking about going to with 16. And then championship weekend ceases to exist. You've knocked that off, and instead you've got play-in games that weekend.
Yeah, okay. I would still probably move the season up just so you're not going as far in as they do. I mean, they're having trouble competing with the NFL now, but that's another conversation. Yeah. I don't necessarily mind it. I also would like to see them go to a play-in style game for the group of 5 as well, to where you take the 2 highest group of 5 teams and have them play against each other.
Agreed.
I don't mind that, and I don't mind the automatic qualifier from the 2 from the SEC at top, because I agree. I think you earn that by winning the conference championship. You get that week off and then get ready for your playoff game. I don't necessarily mind this because he is right. I do find some of the selection committee stuff, mostly because I'm kind of tired of having the damn conversation about it. But it is a little bit ridiculous, and it is the only sport in America that I could think of that does have a committee that decides these kind of things. I'm open to the idea of them going towards this kind of a model that Drinkwitz is proposing here for the playoff.
Somebody said on the text line, guys, they won't give up the conference championship games. There's too much money involved. Sure, the only way that they would is if they get an extra conference championship game, which is effectively what this is. Like, instead of you getting the number 1 versus the number 2, I get with real stakes on the line. Because let's be honest, there's no stakes in that game. SEC championship now, it's who's going to get the bye. Because otherwise, those 2 teams are both going to get into the college football playoff. There's no real question about it. It's just what's the upside for either of those 2 respective teams. So now what we're talking about is 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. Winner gets in, loser's done. Now we got some real stakes on the line here. And you're talking about good teams that would be participating in these games. I mean, you go back to last year, in the Big Ten, the 3rd best team in the conference last season was one of, I don't remember how the tiebreaker went. I think it was Indiana, because Indiana didn't end up in the conference championship game. So it would have been Indiana versus Iowa, and then Ohio State versus Illinois.
That's a good game. Iowa.
T-Bone probably would have signed up for that. I would go out on a limb and say. And then in the SEC, it would have been like Tennessee versus South Carolina, probably, and then Alabama versus LSU. Again, those are really good football games. The tiebreakers are going to be really important here, because once you get into that portion of your conference, you're going to have a lot of teams that are in that 5-3, 6-2 type of a range. But yeah, I actually think Drinkwitz has a good idea here. You'd have to flesh it out the rest of the way, but I think there's some real value. The other thing that this would do is it forces the SEC to go to that 9th conference game, which would then help with some of these tiebreaker potentials as well. I like it. Yeah, I really like the idea. I don't think that there's a huge downside to it.
I think when they heard 30 teams in the playoffs, people overreacted. And with more explanation, I think it makes the most sense. And the biggest thing about this is just getting rid of a selection committee. He's right. You shouldn't have people at a panel making decisions of who's making the playoffs. The team should decide who's making the playoffs.
I do think my biggest change from his is that you should have some automatic qualifiers that are not participating in this.
Yeah. You got to have you got to have something for those teams to continue to be performing all regular season long.
The 1 and the 2 seed. There should be a benefit in the SEC and the Big Ten to be top 2 in your conference, and I think there should be a benefit to the ACC and the Big 12 for winning that conference. Those teams, there would be in that scenario 6 that are basically automatic qualifiers. They're in. There's no question about it. Just like if you win your division in Major League Baseball, you go to the DS if you're one of the top 2 seeds. You're just pushed to what is effectively the 2nd round of the Major League Baseball playoffs. If you don't have a top 2 seed, though, and you won your division, you have to go up against the wild card teams. These games could be played on campuses, so like the 3 seed and the 4 seed would host this on their respective conference, so you have a respective field, so you have that as a built-in advantage as well. I like it. I like what Drinkwitz has to offer here.
We need to get Notre Dame some kind of playing. I don't want to just lock them in.
I think they would.
They get UConn every year.
Smartest team in college football, just every year.
That would be the one that is tough for me. I wonder how you would do that, unless you included them with the group of 5. where, hey, group of 5.
See, I don't want that because I think the group of 5 needs to have a seat at the table.
I'm saying group of 5 gets 4 teams for 2 play-in spots.
And Notre Dame's a part of it.
Notre Dame will play against one of them for one of those spots, and then the other one will play for a potential spot as well. So then Notre Dame is not locked into a spot. They also have to prove it because they didn't participate in a conference. Hey, sorry, guys. If you don't want to participate in a conference, this is how you have to get in.
Yeah.
You better pick a conference, Notre Dame.
Stop. If I'm Notre Dame, I'm going
top 2 in one of these.
If I'm Notre Dame, I'm going, yes, please. We'll go and we'll host Tulane or Memphis or whoever it is. Notre Dame's the one who ends up probably with the best deal out of this again, out of this college football playoff idea.
Last week, Trent got laughed out of this by most people. I think he actually has a pretty good idea. We'll hit the rewind next here on BK and Ferrario.
run it back with the Daily Rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, a little bit of news passed along. Tyrann Mathieu has announced his retirement from the NFL. As a Chiefs fan, one of the guys that means a lot to me. He changed the culture on their defense, wouldn't win their first Super Bowl without him. So salute to Tyrann Mathieu. Also one of the greatest college football players I've ever seen in my life.
Honey Badger.
A legitimately unbelievable football player. And that guy, there are very few defensive players, Alex, in college that can not only make a name for themselves, but almost become like a cultural imprint. Mathieu was one of those guys. So there's probably been like 5 of those in my lifetime, like in my modern time that I can remember. He's up there on that list. So kudos to Tyrann Mathieu. Congratulations on a well-deserved retirement for him. All right, Cardinals back in action tonight. We talked about this to open up the show today. We'll finish here as well. Michael McGreevy, everybody and their mother would love to see him stick with St. Louis. He was very good for the Cardinals last night. 7 innings, couple earned runs, no walks was maybe the most important part of it. What'd you take from his start last night, and do you think he will be sticking with the Cardinals, Alex?
I don't think he'll be sticking. I think the Cardinals are going to stick to what they've been doing and send him back down. I think he deserves to be up here, though. Every single start I exit, even after the games that he's been beaten up with, I still exit thinking it's like, man, why is this guy not just at the major league level? He hits the strike zone. He's able to give them innings. He goes out there. He understands his role. He's the perfect addition to this Cardinals rotation rather than who you're seeing tonight in Eric Fedde. But I don't believe he's going to stay. I think he'll be sent down in a couple of days. And I believe that after the trade deadline, when that Eric Fedde start comes up, that's where you'll see Michael McGreevy make his next start for the Cardinals.
I think they're going to keep him up here. I think they're going to kind of work around some things to try and figure it all out, because I don't think they're going to trade Fedde right after this start against Colorado. I think he's probably making 2 more, but I don't think they send him down.
People are going to love hearing that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, St. Louis. He's going to get 1 more start, and then he'll be traded to somebody. But I think he'll stay. I don't think they'll send him down unless, like, things go – I mean, it's in the range of outcomes. Things go so bad today where they really burn through this bullpen. Then I could see maybe tomorrow where they make the move.
Yeah, I think he'll be here for today. And I think they're going to look and see what happens with Fedde tonight and kind of play it by ear. If Fedde doesn't go very deep into the game, you're going to need that spot for your bullpen for Palante's start on Wednesday. You're in Colorado, man. That could go really poorly for Andre Palante.
They're looking at Fedde tonight and saying, you will give us 6 innings tonight.
Yeah, I think his arm will literally it'll come off with the ball.
You throw the ball you throw your arm holding the ball with your other arm. You will start 6 innings, damn it.
He's going to need to give them innings, but if he doesn't, it's another 3 1/3.
13 runs have been given up in 3 innings, and Fedde goes back out there.
They're going to have to get a bullpen arm up here. So I think it's really just dependent on what happens tonight with Fedde. I know it sucks. Not excited about that fact, but I think it's the reality that they're facing right now. I do think he's going to, starting like August 5th or 6th, I think you will see him starting regularly for the St. Louis Cardinals. I just don't know between now and then if he will take his next start with the St. Louis Cardinals.
If Fedde started that game last Thursday before the All-Star break and not McGreevy, Fedde is going to continue to start. McGreevy's not going to be up here.
Yeah, I heard he figured things out in that start.
You're about to find out.
That's what they said. I was in Chicago.
You're about to find out.
They said he was better.
If he shoves tonight, God, the reaction is going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for it. We're all taking the over?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
What was it, 12?
12. 12 for the game
I think
tonight.
12 is scored in the first 4 innings.
You can probably get better odds. You tease that thing up to like over 14.
If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com. The free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. That is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is free to download, super easy to use, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. If you missed it earlier today, we talked about Michael McGreevy's start from last night with a little bit more on that. Also talked about the Cardinals basically signaling to everybody, including the fans, that they're going to be a seller. And we talked about the runway that exists for Jordan Walker. We had a good interview earlier today with John Denton as well. And I lost my mind about the Chaim Bloom situation. So you can.
And he got backed into the corner twice.
That happened. We talked about movie stars, why all of these comic book movies are being made. So all of that is on the podcast page, and you can check it out over there. We will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.